Welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast all about Transformers and, yes, sometimes other toy lines as well. But tonight is about Transformers and, you know what, lads? It's episode 95. I don't know why that feels a little bit monumentous. Does it to you? I don't know.
It's like 1995.
Yeah, could be. Sure.
Quickly work out how old you were in 1995.
No thanks.
I was 19.
Really?
Fuck, I find this so hard. Was I? No, I wasn't 19. How can I?
That makes you sound ancient, mate.
No, wait. No, I was 19. With maths. This is hard. I think I was 19, guys. I was. Yeah, I was.
My God.
Ah.
Okay, well, that's there you go. Podcast with old men. So wonderful stuff. The old geezer in the corner is Jay Swags. How you doing,
Hello.
Jason?
Sorry, who's
Yeah.
this? Hello? Yes, hello there. Hi,
Exactly. Technology.
Hello.
Yelling at a cloud. And then, of course, we've got the one and only Liam from Toybox Soapbox. Anywhere there's an at. How you doing?
Hello. I am very good. What ho? There we go. We haven't had one of those for a while.
Yeah, you got introduced tonight, Liam. I thought you might
enjoyed
be
it.
happy for that.
I'm impressed you remembered to do that this week. It's nice.
Properly
Yeah,
branded.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I haven't even said who I am yet. Look at that. I've got
Yeah, because there'll be more on that later, won't there?
My main priority. Exactly. Yes, exactly. So people don't need to know who I am anyway. So the key thing is tonight is that we're talking best toys of the year, isn't it? I've been looking forward to this one.
Yes.
I love talking about toys and I love talking about my favourite toys.
This was quite hard, though, right? You know? I was like...
Was it?
Well, partly my memory problems. That was one of the issues.
Right.
Trying to go, did I buy that this year? And is that
Or was it
relevant?
in 1995 when I was
Yeah,
19?
exactly.
Yeah, what was I doing there? Exactly. There was a lot of that.
Did you not consult your database, Jason?
Well, I have had quite the life events this year, you know, moving in with my girlfriend and then moving house. Oh, moving in with my girlfriend was last year, actually. Anyway, moving house was the big thing. So, and a lot of product, shall we say, was coming in, and I was not databasing it when it came in. So I've lost track as well.
Anakin.
And this brings me nicely, because I know you're going to nag me about it, about train bots and combining them. I've not done my
preempting
homework.
that, are you?
Well, I've not done my
Right.
homework.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sixo's
nagging.
nagging
Look
you.
at that.
Yeah.
Nagging him to
Both of
combine
you, I
and
say both.
enjoy his 700-pound combiner. I mean,
Hey,
terrible.
I was the one saying you should not do it, just to like keep it as a bit, mainly
Well,
to just
I've not
keep,
done it,
you know.
right? I've not done it because I can't find 3 of them.
There we go.
Oh man,
There's my first problem. So, yeah, I think it might be at Selena's in the loft. I hope it is. This is my
This
biggest...
plan's come off the rails, hasn't it?
Oh, that's the worst thing. But there's a whole thing about moving and losing. I was worrying about losing just accessories, but now I'm just worried about losing an entire transformer.
oh man, it's terrible, isn't it?
Awful.
When you bought yourself a little mansion up in Scotland and you can't find your multiple 100-pound toys just lying around.
What
Where
a
are
life.
they? I
First
don't know.
world problem.
Which
Yeah.
wing are they in? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Terrible.
You need to take a leaf out of Sixo's book and get yourself a butler.
Yeah, very handy.
That's a good... I like that
Just
idea,
looks after
actually.
your trains.
I wish. Honestly.
Just your trains. Get them to combine it. That would be good. I'd like that.
It would, yeah, but you know, when would they dust the silverware if they're too busy doing that? You know,
True. That's a very good point.
The
as
chromeware.
well.
That's
The
what-
chromeware.
Plus, it's so enjoyable combining that thing. So you want to do it yourself,
Well,
don't you?
obviously, from what you've said, it's totally, you know, I want
Yeah.
to savor it. That's the reality of it as well. So,
Exactly.
yeah, maybe a Christmas break, you know, a bit of fun over Christmas. That's what it could be.
So are you not choosing the MPG train bots then as your toy of the year? Is that what we're led to believe?
Did they come out? Some of them came out this year. It was only one
Some
that
of them came out this year.
Yeah.
Maybe one? Yeah.
One, yeah. No, spoiler, I'm not.
Ooh.
No, it's got to be more than that, isn't it? Isn't it most of them this year?
I think maybe just the one this year. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not keeping tabs. I'm not
Yeah.
database man.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I'm pretty sure we got 5 last year, and then how many other? Is that right? 6 in
We
total?
definitely didn't get 5 last year. I think Shuki was 2022 at least.
Oh, that's right. No, it didn't it? It
God.
went over like 2.5 years. That's right.
It's been going on for 2 years at least. Yeah, I
Really?
would say.
I thought it was
Yeah.
like it started last year. I remember Maz was still on the show when they came out because he was talking about Shuki at some point.
But I've been here now for over a year and a bit. My
You have?
TT anniversary was
So it
just
must
a month
be.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, your podiversary.
But no, train bots are not on my list, and that's part of the thing tonight, right? Which is, I don't know about you guys, but I actually remembering one issue, but also choosing because a little bit spoiled this year, to be completely honest, with everything that was coming out. It was hard.
I had a good method for remembering, Jason, because like you, I couldn't remember. I was really struggling, thinking there's so many things that's come out this year, and so all I did was went to my Instagram and scrolled back through the feed.
That's what I did.
Like this year.
That's often what I do.
Right, okay, there. Of course, that's the best thing I got this year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
exactly
memorable.
what I did.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a big one, isn't it? Because it's been an anniversary year as well. It's kind of weird to think that we're wrapping up the 40th anniversary year in a weird way, right? Like it's been such an event. You're looking at me all confused there, Jason. Like, what has it? What?
Yeah, but that's it.
An anniversary year?
The 40th. That has gone. I think it's because this year has gone so quickly. Like we're talking. My son reminded me this morning. It's 20 days as we're recording this just now to Christmas, and that gave me quite a lot of panic, and to be honest, because I am not organised.
Well, this is technically our Christmas episode because this is going to be releasing around the Yuletide period.
Oh, if I didn't realise that, I would have wore my Christmas jumpers.
I'm surprised that you're not, actually, because I did mention it, that this would be kind of like the Christmas episode.
Happy
and
Christmas,
we even had a little
everyone.
joke about you changing outfits and things.
We've got a lot more recordings before then. So.
Well, this is true, but this is the Christmas one, so this is when you
To
get.
be fair, they're all in the tumble
merriment
dryer.
on.
I put them all in the wash when I got home yesterday. All the
did
day.
you?
Preparation.
all your Christmas jumpers. I thought you meant you were
there's a
wearing
whole
them all.
single wash for themselves because there were so many.
We could have just pretended, Liam, that you were wearing something. No one can see us. We could just say, it's like, wow, Liam, your Christmas top is amazing.
But we'd know, Jason. We'd know.
True.
And they would hear it in his voice. They would hear
the joy
it.
wouldn't
They
be
would
there.
know.
It's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
They would hear the static crackling and giving me constant electric shocks.
Yeah, and the grumbling from Sixo when he's got to edit it all out as well.
That is true. That is certainly true. So, well, listen, I'm really looking forward to hearing your choices. And the gig tonight is that we're actually only choosing one toy each that came out this year, 2024. And we're also choosing one toy that we picked up this year in 2024 that wasn't necessarily from 2024. So we are choosing two toys each. But I think the interesting thing here, I don't know about you guys, is that I haven't necessarily gone for what I would consider to be the best toy of 2024. I've picked one that I think, neither of you will have gone for, because I was slightly nervous about us all choosing the same thing, because we genuinely don't know what each other's chosen.
I think we all thought we were all going to choose Missing Link, and it transpires I don't think any of us have.
Yeah. Well, I just said, just before we hit record there, like, has anybody chosen Missing Link Convoy? Because I kind of felt like all three of us might have done. And apparently nobody has.
But then was that, because I did get a bit confused, was that end of 23 or beginning of 24?
No, man, no, that was this year.
Early 24. It must have been like
early
February,
24.
March, something like that.
February time, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
February time.
So when was Retro? Was that? Oh, too many
Retro
primes.
was quite recently.
Yeah,
what, Retro Prime? That was like a month or two ago.
Yeah,
was it really?
It's a couple of months back.
Jason, what's going on with you
honestly,
in time, man? Like,
oh dear, I know, it's really hard. I feel like Doc Brown.
And you've got a spreadsheet for this sort of thing.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, he does, certainly.
Yeah, true.
Crazy.
Okay, right. Keep me right.
So, okay, we haven't all chosen Missing Link Convoy, but I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Missing Link Convoy as we go through. And then, as I say, we'll choose one of our not from 24 choices as well. Before we get to all of that, we should mention, of course, that we are sponsored by TF Source, as ever. So do go and check them out for all your Transformers needs. And we'll talk a little bit about them later on in the middle of the pod. And we also have a Patreon, which, of course, you can find at patreon.com/Triple Takeover. And there's loads of good stuff on there. You hear me talk about this every couple of weeks, so you know the score by now. There's 5 glorious tiers of stuff, loads of bonus content, a Discord. It's all good. Go and check it out. If you enjoy the pod, you can support us there and get some good perks in return. Fair to say, isn't it, gents?
Yeah. Epic. And Patreon's
it's Christmas.
Really... it's Christmas, exactly. And there's something, a wee shout out to our patrons who are the loveliest bunch, who are sharing their Spotify Wrapped, and we're in their lists, which is like the most humbling moment ever. It's so nice, and there's already a Christmas feels and just really warm, fuzzy feelings coming from that chat over the past couple of days as well. So huge shout out to everyone that's supporting us, because that genuinely is massively humbling, and it's just so nice. I keep pinching myself with this past year of what we get to do and how we get to chat about this stuff, and then everyone's on for the ride as well. So it's really lovely.
You slayed it, Jason. You slayed it.
Oh, there we go. Festive puns. Can't wait. Now we know it's a Christmas episode.
Yes.
Now it's a proper Christmas episode.
Do you know, I was chuckling earlier on that about the Spotify rap thing, because I didn't even know that was a thing, this whole Spotify rap thing, but everybody's doing it, seemingly. And lots of our patrons, as you say, and a few non-patrons have been sharing that we're at the top or on their top 5 or whatever. And one of our patrons, Rob, shared that we were his top listen in 2024, which was really nice. And then Conan O'Brien was at number 3. And you know when you think, what is going on here?
Oh, that's when I discovered there's a Cheers podcast with Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson. Straight away I was like, hang about, how did I not know this? Cheers is like the one great comedy series to come out of America.
Yeah, that's true.
The one? The one?
The one great TV comedy, yeah.
There is The Office as well.
Okay, we don't have time for this tonight.
That's British, though, Jason.
Ignore that. That's
an American knockoff. We don't talk
We're going to ignore it. Yeah. We're going to have that debate another time.
Yeah, separate episode. Separate episode.
Yeah.
Totally.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to do 2024 stuff first? Should we do that as a round, and then we'll come back
the released. Yeah, why don't we do what was released in 2024, and then we'll do what we got in 2024. I reckon
sounds good to me. Yeah, Liam, you're going to kick us off. Your typical, first person in the round, aren't you? That's your role.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to roll for it because I'm going to choose Lunar Convoy.
Ah, good choice.
Ooh. The Lunar Cruiser.
Yeah,
amazing choice.
That is very cool.
Yeah, the second this was announced, I knew it was something I needed, and then when it came out, it was somehow even better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Amazing toy, and it's so different to anything else that's like the general mainstream stuff we get now, and we get so much, but it kind of feels like we've lost a lot of that old kind of like weird Takara stuff we used to get, like the Mega Drive Megatrons and stuff like that. And
totally.
This just felt like a really nice nostalgic throwback to something strange and Takara-y. And it was great.
Do you have this one, Jason?
No, I have buyer's regret on this one. Because I didn't get it.
No. Buyer's regret is when you buy something and you regret it.
Yeah,
is it?
That's you've got non-buyer's regret.
Yeah,
you've got
non-buyer's
FOMO,
regret. Yeah, I've got FOMO, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I think it was actually your photos, Liam, that I was looking at, and it just looked so nice, and it gave me that kind of. I had this really cool Lego kind of 6-wheeler rocket launching set, like kind of mixture of normal Lego and
Space.
Like space set. Yeah, Lego space set when I was a kid. And it gave me that kind of vibes about it as well when I saw it. And
it does look like a Lego vehicle.
It does look like a Lego, doesn't it? But the head sculpt on it, it just... Yes, I want it. I'm looking now if I can buy it.
You absolutely should get it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a total strong recommendation from me as well. I was really blown away by it. I think it's lovely in hand. I think a lot of people slept on it, and a lot of people were like, I don't need this. But it's because it's one of those toys that is like a one-off. It doesn't fit into like a lineup or a roster of any kind. And I must admit, one thing the 40th has really done for me this anniversary year is shown me that you really don't need rosters for stuff. Like you really don't. Just one-off solid toys that are their own thing, that don't need to exist with something else. They can just be fantastic toys in their own right, and there's a huge place for that. Certainly in my collection anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. And it's nice to see them coming back, because you get obviously you get the crossovers and things like that now on Hasbro side. So it's kind of like that, but it just feels like it's been a long time since we've really had that. I remember we had the DSLRs recently, didn't we? The Canon.
That was last year, I think.
Yeah, last year. So, but aside from that, it just felt like it stopped for ages. And then now it's kind of coming back. And it's interesting. And it's like Agent Knight in a way, where it feels like a toy of a different era. Like how chunky it is and how thick the pieces are, if you know what I mean. It comes together in a real snappy way, and it feels like you get substantial amount of plastic, whereas sometimes they can feel a bit flimsy. This doesn't in any way, shape or form. It's got a little solar panel that can go in different places. It's got all sorts of fun little things about it. I love it.
What kind of size is it? Is it like a deluxe, or is it bigger?
No, it's bigger.
It'd
probably be like a Voyager.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
pretty
Voyager, I
substantial.
would say.
Yeah.
I think he's bigger than Earthrise Prime. I could be wrong on that, but he feels bigger when you transform him.
Yeah, bigger than Earthrise.
Yeah.
It's not huge though. It's not like, it's not gargantuan or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a nice, pleasing size. Like it compacts down quite a bit in its lunar mode.
Yeah.
And the robot mode is kind of like a little bit taller than you would maybe think that it is. But it's super nice, honestly, and the transformation is really cool as well. I think
Very clever,
very clever, very different.
The way the legs sort of all tuck in and fold together, and the way it clamps together, it basically like folds over on itself, doesn't it? Like almost like a clamshell in some ways.
So do you know?
Clever.
One thing that it did do is it gave me animated Bulkhead vibes as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of styling.
I could see that. If that was in green.
Yeah. And which I love that figure and that alt mode. I really love that alt mode as well. And the big thing was, you know me, I'm an absolute sucker for a box, and I love that box because it's very like a kind of Airfix model, kind of.
It is
70s styled, the way they've got a really lovely brand about this, which is just really nice, and a kind of style about it, which I think looks cracking. Yeah, it's a good choice, Liam. Very good choice. A lot of fun as well.
Oh, thanks. I love it. It's a licensed vehicle as well, with it being.
Well, I was just going to say.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. It's based on a real thing. It's a real vehicle.
That's cool.
The lunar exploration thingy. And as you say, it's a Toyota, so it's pretty cool in that regard. Like, to me, I love licensed Transformers anyway, licensed vehicle modes. So the fact that we're getting stuff like this that is a unique mold based on a really cool concept, I just think it's great. That's exactly the kind of thing that I wanted the 40th to be about, and lo and behold, we got it.
Yeah, there's a nice bit of thought in it as well, because it's a lunar explorer. There's no gun, and ordinarily you'd be like, it's missing an accessory. Less accessories are not as good, but in this case, you're like, it doesn't feel like it needs something like that. Feels like it's exists in a separate space. I know there was a lot of people complaining that why is it Optimus Prime and not some other new character, and I could have gone for that, but I really like it as Optimus Prime as well.
Same.
I love that chest transformation. It's something new into the Prime mix, but it works as him as well.
It's a tough one because, like with these collabs, and this is what we were talking about with with Brian last time, is that the reality is that a lot of these things are always going to be Optimus Prime, or at least some like A-list character, aren't they? It's just the nature of things. I really don't mind this as Optimus. I saw a couple of people like complaining about the red and the blue in the robot mode because it's like, it's not kind of thematic with the vehicle mode.
Yeah.
I even saw there were a couple of actually really cool digibashes turning this into Ultra Magnus.
I was going to say,
yeah,
they could have done that.
Yeah, like the white cab Ultra Magnus. Just having it all in white with just like grey thighs,
blue
and
faceplate.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen a couple of digibashes of that, and actually, it looks really cool. I got to tell you, if they did that repaint, it might be one to double dip on. I don't know, but as it is, I actually quite like the little splashes of colour. I like the fact that they're quite dark. They're not like super bright or anything. It really works for me, and I think it works as Optimus with the kind of chest windows and stuff.
Yeah,
cool. That's what I was about to
totally
say.
agree.
Yeah.
It kind of gives the vibe that there's a robot hiding inside a vehicle, and I like that.
Yeah,
cool.
It's cool.
I was torn between this and Missing Link Sentinel Prime, which somehow manifested its way near the top of the list, despite not being sure. But then this, I just thought about how much fun I'd had with this. And definitely my favorite.
I do know what you mean. Missing Link Sentinel. I mean, Missing Link in general is high up my list, but yeah, Missing Link Sentinel Prime was a weird one, wasn't it? Because it was like everybody saw it, the first pictures, and they were like, "What is this?" I saw people online like,
"Why?
What the?" Do you know what I mean? Like, really,
totally.
Kind of outraged by it almost. And then we, like a few of us, obviously, whoever bought it, we got it in hand. And everybody that did was like, this is incredible. Just the color scheme, everything. It's so lush.
Considering we already own it twice as well. Like,
with
there's Convoy, the two different ones. This, you'd feel like, it's just a repaint, but it's not. Once you get it in hand, ooh, man. I was
nice.
Totally taken with it.
Well, I'm going to stop you both there, because guess what my choice is?
Missing Link Sentinel Prime.
It's Missing Link Sentinel Prime. Of course it is.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
Jason, this is a classic
Curveball.
Jason curveball. This.
There
Like,
it
oh no,
is.
none of us have chosen Missing Link. I don't
There we
know.
go.
Always do
I
this.
was internally smirking when you said that, and I'm like, no, I've not
He's
chosen
such a
Convoy.
twat, honestly.
Can't even say you're wrong because you're
I know.
you're not
There we
so
go.
amazing.
He's
But I
just
do
such
Well
a
have.
played.
smug prick, honestly.
It's like when you started talking about it, it's like, when do I cut in? When do I tell them that actually, I did choose that one?
And it was your little face when you were like, well. Have I got a curveball for you?
It's not
Here we
Convoy.
go.
King of the party over here, like guys, here he is.
Japes. Honestly.
The amount of times I double checked.
So you sat through that whole pre-recording conversation where we were
Yes.
like, has anybody chosen missing link? And you were like, no, technicality.
You said Convoy.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting genned up. I know how to play the game now.
Well played.
Right.
I have a very, very good reason for choosing Sentinel over Convoy, though.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
it's
it's
better.
awesome, but it is more the excitement and the anticipation of the decision by Takara Tomy to do this variant color. As I was like, okay, well,
Right.
that is a statement about what they're going to do going forward. And at that point, we didn't know
Mhm.
about Corden. We didn't even know about Sunstreaker, actually. But I was like, this is what we hoped for, but this isn't what we necessarily expected to get a repaint. And to get such a kind of off-the-wall repaint as well, that was like kind of just sitting in this space. And I remember when we were chatting about that, we are just like, oh, is this going to be the same as, I always forget his full name, but the Crystal Ultra Magnus, our yellow boy who was
Shining Magnus. Yeah.
Shining Magnus, who
Magnus.
yeah, Magnus is the polite way to put it, yeah. That was ignored. But whilst I was looking at, like, going through stuff thinking, what do I choose? This was the obvious one because of that reason, that it defined what I hoped Takara would do and what they're going to do going forward as well, which is that we are going to hopefully see lots of variants within that missing link line. And fantastic figure, fantastic color scheme, that redone head as well. Just so much in that figure that I just already loved with Convoy, and then just this version came out. Brilliant.
That's really fair assessment. I must admit, I do kind of agree with you that, I mean, obviously I was blown away by Missing Link, Optimus, Convoy, whatever. That was incredible. The reveal of that was like nothing else. In a weird way, the in-hand experience of Sentinel was even more exciting. I think,
strange,
weirdly. I guess because so much of Convoy was wrapped up in the hype of it. Like, from the reveal, it was almost like all the hype that happened before it actually arrived was like such a big part of it. Just everything from like the initial reveal of, oh my god, I can't believe they're actually doing this. So whereas the in-hand experience, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. It's definitely a contender for Toy of the Year. But it's classic colours Optimus, isn't it?
Exactly.
So there is an element of like,
you compare to the original.
It did what it said on the tin in a weird way.
And you've sort of seen it, haven't you? It's kind of, with Optimus, you've seen it so many times. Even when you see it sort of redone slightly different and you're still blown away by it, it still feels familiar. Whereas Sentinel Prime was just like, wait, what?
That's
wholly new.
Yeah,
and it's a brand new character to get a toy like this. And for me, it took me back to that time, sort of like the mid 2000s, when we were getting random recolors of G1 toys.
It's very e-hobby,
It's kind of a different nostalgia, whereas Convoy Prime was a nostalgia for the vintage toy and that sort of feeling. This was a nostalgia for a later era for me. It's kind of that.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Nice. I think you expected Convoy to be amazing. You just knew it was going to be. This, you were kind of like, I think my initial view when I saw it was like, it's just, it's a yellow Prime. Cool, I might pass it. That changed very fast. And then once I got it in hand, it was such a surprise by how nice it was. Like, it looked great. And I thought even in photos, I started to think, I think it looks nicer than the Prime. But once I got it in hand, it was like, genuinely. So pretty.
So pretty. You don't appreciate that colour and how it pops until you've got it in hand as well. And the fact they presented it in that kind of silvery grey box, which just looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
But then they've got the sticker for the tech specs on the back that's in colour as well. And it's just, the whole presentation of it and everything, and it was. I agree, Sixo, that it was like I knew it was missing Link Prime, but it was like a different experience than just that I was enjoying
Really was.
this figure for something new. And it was what I said earlier. This whole thing about like, oh, what are they going to do next? You know, there was so much excitement. It was like Christmas, you know, all that.
Yeah,
wrapped up in
exactly. Your point is absolutely accurate. Of it's not just the toy itself; it's what it represents potentially for the future, like the door that it opens in terms of crazy color repaints. And
it. Yeah,
you know, we've joked about it before in the pod, but will we get like a purple sunstreaker or whatever it might be?
Mhm.
You know, like because if they're going to do something like that for Convoy. Maybe they'll do more. Like I'd love to see them do however many, weird and wonderful bumblebees and cliff jumpers and all of it.
Do a clear yellow one like Pit Magnus.
Yeah. Maybe.
Call it Optimus Urine.
Sure. What's going on tonight, man?
Missing
Honestly,
the sink.
But,
It's Christmas. It's all the eggnog that I've never drank.
Never had.
God. Did you just say missing the sink?
I did.
Okay.
Which is awful.
Horrible.
It's horrible. I'm sorry. That's really. I hope no one had heard that. I'll be honest.
The worst thing anybody's ever said on this podcast. So, God,
I know. Sorry. Did it
that's
again.
awful. Anyway, moving us swiftly on, I think.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think it's the potential for more repaints and everything else in the future that really makes this one exciting, and just the fact that it's a cool orange Prime anyway, and that, as you said, Liam, it really does feel like a new e-hobby Transformer G1 toy.
Yeah.
It's all of these things in one awesome package.
The one thing that I did notice as well when I was kind of looking back at pictures and that kind of stuff and doing a quick Google earlier today is, unlike Shining Magnus, everywhere in not just UK but elsewhere as well is saying out of stock on this figure. So when we were chatting about it previously, is that I do think there's been a shift within the fandom that, like, actually, you know what? I am going to pick that up because I've been burnt in the past.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Kapow had it. They had it in the sale recently, like the Black Friday sale. It popped up in there.
Did.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, I genuinely was like, oof.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's there. Because, like you said, it's been sold out everywhere else.
Yeah.
And to see it, like, pop up in stock. And I think it went straight away.
It did.
I did see a flurry of comments from people saying, yep, bought.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
That's good because you don't want people to miss out on something this good. No. This is that toy, again, like Magnus, where you feel like in the future, people looking back will be like, man, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I think so. I haven't seen or spoken to anybody that has it that is disappointed with it. Like everybody's having the same reaction that we are, which is like, oh, it's unexpectedly nice.
Yeah.
I was just glad that I actually got mine, right? Because like I had obviously a bit of drama with actually
you
getting
did?
it into my house. I was mad.
Is this the one that went to your neighbour? Oh, your old house?
No, it didn't go to my old house. It went to a neighbour round the corner. But the problem is that when it got sent to me, I'd had it shipped to the correct address, but they'd put the wrong number house. When it was sent, they'd put the wrong number house on the shipping label. So it was the sender's mistake, not mine. But anyway, that's by the by. And it went to the wrong house. So anyway, I called up, I think it was DPD. I called up DPD and were like, oh, it says it's been delivered, but it's not here. You know, like it's not in my property. And they were like, oh yeah, it's been delivered. And it was signed for by, and the lady's name was June. It's been signed for by June. I was like, okay, nobody called June lives at this house. I was like, where is it? And they wouldn't tell me which address it had gone to. This was the thing. And I was saying, like, they said, oh, what's your address? And I told them, and they were like, okay, we can confirm for you that it's a different number house, same road, but different number house on the address label.
Well,
but we can't tell you what house it is. And I was like, you're kidding me. And I was like, could you send me the photo, like, that you take when stuff's delivered? They were like, no, we can't because it's not your property. I was like, what?
But it's your parcel.
I kept saying this.
It's like a detective show.
Parcel?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it was so mad. So there's me like going around knocking on doors like down my road and stuff. I mean, I know some of my neighbours, and I know like the houses nearest to us and stuff. None of them had it, and like, hi, do you know what I mean? You got a parcel for me, and it turned out to be a lady that was like right round the corner, like right down the road. I managed to track it down eventually. But what a palaver, honestly. And then she'd gone out and she was like, oh, come round at like this very specific time tomorrow morning. And
didn't you say she'd opened it as well? Is that right? That she'd
opened the parcel, yeah. Not the toy. She,
Yeah.
like so the packaging was fine, but she was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I opened it." I was like, "That's fine, as long
I
as
think
it's all
secretly
good."
she was like,
Yeah,
man,
didn't play with it,
I
didn't
was this
transform it,
close
did
to
you?
a missing link Sentinel Prime,
Yeah,
man.
exactly, maybe. Yeah.
Could have added it to my collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't seem that enamored with it. I got to tell you,
Did she
handed
ask
it
if
over
it was
pretty
for
quickly.
your
So
child? You know, is this for your
no,
child?
she didn't. She didn't. So
Did she not start conversing with you saying, I preferred Beast Wars myself?
Yeah,
This kind of.
Come on the pod.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
she did not seem too engaged on it. I have seen her on the road and stuff since, and we kind of nod and say hello and stuff now. So
She's
But she's
pointing
like,
out,
which
there's
is
that
nice.
nerd.
there's that nerd
Yeah,
guy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nerd.
That's brilliant.
God, he
Maybe
prefers
so.
Sentinel Prime over the
Cool.
Optimus Prime Deco.
Yeah, exactly.
Have him on, add him to
Yeah.
the neighborhood watch list.
Oh.
It was just one of those mad things where, like you said, it was like, why could they not just tell me where it was? But apparently not.
Yeah,
You know?
safety,
So-
security, and all that
Just
To be
stuff.
fair, I
One
think
of
it's
those
outrageous that
situations.
you were asking to know where your parcel was. You know.
Well, it's what, you
How
know,
dare you?
terrible, isn't it?
This would be a very different conversation if you hadn't got that, though, because then you'd be just sitting there going, "Oh, it's somewhere nearby," but you wouldn't know where, you know. And it's just
Yeah.
Still hunting.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. Just imagine like knowing it was in one of my neighbours' houses, but you couldn't find it. That'd be terrible.
That could be the worst,
It could have
yeah.
made the episode though, Jason, because it could have been like Columbo. He could have been told this story, and then he could have
Yeah.
just gone, "And just one more thing."
Just one
and
more
then,
thing.
lifted up the Sentinel
Yeah.
Prime.
Exactly. I was out there looking for the missing link, you see.
Oh, there we go.
Ah.
Yeah, boom. Love it.
Mm,
Which
yeah,
brings us
indeed.
nicely to your choice then, Sixo. What have you got
Ooh.
for
Oh,
2024?
well, I'm going to shock you,
Mm.
absolutely stun you, Richard,
Convoy.
with this choice. No, because we said it wasn't
I don't-
missing
yeah,
link,
sorry.
Jason.
Yeah.
You know, sticking to the rules. But no,
He's not as curvebally as you, Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
We
I'm
aren't.
really not. I'm
Neither
really
of us
not.
are.
Yeah, I keep my curveballs to myself. But I've chosen something
Oi, oi.
very atypical for me because it's a legacy Beast Wars figure, and
I
it's,
knew it was going to be Beast Wars, right? Yeah.
it's Magmatron.
Ah.
Oh, right, okay. Right. Mm.
Big
I
old
forgot that was this year.
beast today. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was this year. Yeah.
Goodness.
So I
Yeah.
fell in love with this thing when I first saw it. I think it was this year. It arrived in my house this year anyway. So
It
I'm
was this
counting
year.
it.
We saw
Yeah.
it at MCM last year, didn't we?
We did.
And,
We did.
But I think it didn't come out until this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say actually, when we saw it at MCM, I fell in love with it instantly. It was in the glass cabinet, so we got kind of a really good little look around at it and everything. And just a couple of things really struck me about it. A, it's much larger than I thought it was going to be, and obviously it's Commander class, so it's difficult to know what you get with Commander class sometimes because some toys are quite big and others are a bit smaller and kind of more intricate. And kind of like chunky and stacked with detail and everything. This is weirdly both of those things in that it's huge and it's really detailed. So it's such a big bang for your buck. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's monstrously big.
I'm seeing an image of it here standing next to Masterpiece Skyfire. Is that Masterpiece Skyfire?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is it that? Oh, is it? Or maybe it's Legacy.
Or the Siege one.
It's the Siege one, sorry. Yeah, but even still, the wings come up to the wings on Jetfire. Yes, massive. I had no idea it was that
it's
big.
a huge toy.
Wow.
It's a huge toy, honestly. I mean, the presentation of it, honestly, and when you look at the size of it and everything, it feels on par with some of the stuff that we're getting from like HasLab. Honestly, like in my opinion, I get, it's not the same, and it's obviously not at the same price bracket as some of the HasLab stuff and whatever, but it has that kind of like feeling of like weight to it and just like impressiveness about it. It's got a lot of presence.
Yeah. It's way
So-
bigger than the original, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually, and that's the thing for me.
unusual. That's
Yes,
because so often the updates are smaller.
Yeah,
and it's kind
it's
of
true.
like they're more detailed and a bit more accurate looking, but they're always smaller and it's not quite the same. This is I can't think of many more like this where it's actually the reverse, where this is
so
way
true.
significantly larger, and
Yeah.
this is one of those cases where you look at it and you go, the original toy's got charm, but this one this feels like a modern upgrade. Like
Yeah, it does
update.
feel like an upgrade, and I'm gonna happily say this now. Like I really like the original Magmatron figure. Like I was so happy to get it. Like, it was one of those toys that I hadn't had for years, even through collecting Beast Wars and whatever. So when I finally got it, I was really like, wow, I can't believe I actually own this. And I'll happily say I think the Legacy toy is better. It
really?
actually genuinely improves. Yeah, it genuinely improves on like a lot of what the original does well, but this is better. And it's more articulated and everything as well, but it's just super impressive. And I think it has the presence and everything that you kind of want from something like that. And you are right, Liam, that particularly with a lot of the Beast Wars stuff, like if you look at Legacy Tigerhawk, which is a bird and a tiger, Jason, by the way. I know this is still, it's not two separate modes. Like it's, tiger, hawk,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought so, but I know there's been some confusion on the subject. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just got to clarify. But that is, the Legacy version is sort of comparable size, if not like a little bit tiny, sort of like slightly smaller, but sort of roughly the same size. Same with the Dragon Megatron. It's it could have been bigger, the Legacy one. I really like it, but it could have been bigger. And, when you look at stuff like the, T-Rex Megatron and things like that, that's actually way smaller, as you say. And like, it's just weird to sort of see the sort of like the slight downscaling sometimes. I don't mind
totally.
it, but it is nice to have something that is suddenly like this substantial and like impressive. And the fact that they did Magmatron of all things at this price point is like wild to me.
That is quite a surprise. And I don't have that level of knowledge that you have on the Beast stuff, but my partner Kelly, she loves a dinosaur. And I remember being in Smith's, and this was on the shelf, and she's like, "Buy that because that looks amazing."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was not only dinosaurs, but it is, it's the ideal toy release to come out of that price point in my mind, because all the figures, the colors of them, they absolutely pop. It looks amazing in its combined mode. It looks really, really good in its combined mode.
It doesn't look like a Transformer.
It doesn't, no. It just looks like a lot of fun.
I think that's what's cool about it, yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask as well, has it got some like epic box art on it or something like that on the back?
Oh, yeah. The box is really nice. The box is like it's got that kind of like, legacy coloring to it and everything, all the reds and yellows and like crazy colors. I think it's a little bit of a nod to the Beast Wars Neo cartoon, actually, with like some of the scenes and stuff, with like a battle with with big convoy and everything. So that's pretty cool. But really gorgeous box art and everything. And what I'm also so chuffed about with this thing is that it's really accurate to the cartoon and the original toy, which was quite accurate already. But what I like about it is that they didn't cram in individual robot modes for the three kind of dino forms. And I mean, we talked with Evan about this when we met up with him at MCM just recently. I think it was then. Or did he mention it on the pod as well? I can't remember, but I remember talking to him about it and him saying that, there was a bit of consideration around that, because the kind of expectation was like, well, why did they not all have robot modes, and that would have had to have been a thing. And I can't fathom how kind of compromised this would have been with additional robot modes for each of the dinos. It would have been just too much, and you would have either had to have kind of increased the price point more, or you would have sacrificed so much of what this toy does right in other areas. And I'm just thrilled that they did not do that, honestly.
But was the original have alt modes for the smaller dinosaurs? Or was it was a combiner?
Not robot modes. It's got, they've all got dino modes. I'm saying dino loosely because, of course, they're not all technically dinosaurs.
Of course, that's true.
But,
yes, indeed. That's very true. But so it follows what the original was.
It's like a Duocon, but 3, isn't it, really? That's like the...
Yeah, totally.
It's got alternate modes that all combine into a robot.
Yeah, exactly. So 3 beast modes, 1 robot mode, and 1 combined beast mode as well, because they do the Turducken thing where you sort of, the human centipede dilly with it kind of squished
I'm seeing
together.
an image of that here, and it's very disturbing. Yeah, exactly.
It is a little bit, but it's super cool. So as well, 7-0 was quite taken with this thing because it's 3 dinosaurs, so of course he's going to be. But smushing them together into the kind of combined form, he was just like, "What is happening?" Honestly,
it takes all sorts, doesn't it? Hasbro got to cater for all types of fans and kinks and all that.
Right, exactly. No kink shaming here,
exactly. Whatever floats your boats. Do you know what's great about yours 2 choices is I've been struggling to work out what I was going to ask Santa Claus for, and I've been getting nagged by the elves to send my letter off and stuff. I'm
How
keeping
far up
this.
north do you live, Jason?
I'm well, quite close actually. I'm going to send it to Maz, and he's going to pass it on. He's promised me. And then I've had a little search as we've been chatting. Both your choices are available.
Ooh.
So you know what? I think I'm going to
Look
go
at that.
for it. I think I'm going to put it on my
Enablement.
Christmas. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, right? That would be amazing.
See what old
that is
Saint
cool.
Nick has got for
Yeah.
you, Jason. Then
Totally. Yeah.
Are you going to get a big old beast, are you?
Well,
big
I
old
think
3 beast.
I've always been tempted by this figure because I just love how, with the best love and respect, I love how ridiculous it is. It is just
Yes, it is
absolutely
ridiculous.
mad. But it's brilliant. It's what I love about the Transformers line. We've talked about when we talk about beasts, in the fact that this comes from the same brand. But it is like this combining dinosaur.
Yep.
Is it a pterodactyl? Pterodon that we've got going on there?
Kind of.
One of those things. And Nessie.
It's not actually, but
We got Loch Ness. We got Nessie there, right? That's like
little
amazing.
Nessie's
been there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
There we go. So,
we all have. But yeah, you're right. And it's in the same line as like Datsuns and things like that, right? Like it's, you know.
Yeah, you don't
missing
see
links
3
tends to
Datsuns
break.
smooshed together like that.
Yeah. I
Totally.
want to now. Like,
Yeah.
why do we not get that?
Yeah.
You know? Datsun to Ducken.
What I always like about the robot mode here is that it just looks so far removed from Transformers. It's like something from like high fantasy. It's got that
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons kind of vibe more
It
than
does.
anything.
The cartoon. Yes.
If this turned up as like a villain in that, you wouldn't even think
Yeah,
about
you'd
Transformers.
totally
You look at it and
accept
go,
it.
yep, completely that.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's not a robot. It is like 3 dinosaurs converting into a giant man.
Yeah.
But it
really
looks amazingly posable though as well. Which
It is, yeah. It is pretty posable.
which
Yeah,
is
the legs are
great
really
fun.
posable, and the
Yeah.
arms, and it's got all the right joints and things. It's also got that really like pleasing clicky action, you know, like big ratchets, and it just, I don't know, it feels solid and chunky. It's like a really fun time, like posing it. There are some restrictions to the the posing and stuff because you've got like the wings on the sides of the head and stuff like that. So and obviously it's got a lot of like beast kibble. So there are bits that kind of you have to work around a little bit, but it's a fun old time handling this thing, I think. And it's just one of those toys that I can't stop looking at. Like when I have it on the shelf, or like I remember just like whole evenings of sat watching the TV with it just like by the side of me or whatever, and it just kept like glancing over it, just like, oh my god, this thing looks so nice. I just can't get over the price point that it's at, like how substantial it feels, everything. It's I'm really into some of the larger toys that Legacy is pumping out at the moment. Like there's a degree of dare I say it, obviously budgetary kind of restraint that obviously happens with some of the smaller price points, and that's fair enough. Like I totally understand why that is. But I really feel like Commander Class, they're just able to cook in a way that they can't at some of the like Deluxe or even Voyager to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and you see it all here.
Totally, and the thing is, it's like I take photos regularly when I go to my local Smiths, and that those figures on the shelves in those boxes, they're the ones that catch your eye, and they just pop, and they just look so good, and your bang for buck on these ones are just really good. Actually, it's a really nice, fun figure for just not still a chunk of money, but just brilliant. It's great.
It's just so interesting, man. Like the more I look at it, it's like there's genuinely nothing in it that looks robot-y, even like in either of the modes. Like even the combined mode as a robot, there's no tech detailing or anything. It is very much like
very
this
organic.
Could pass for something from like some, I don't know, Lord of the Ringsy kind of those kind of things, like sword and sorcery more than Transformers, and there's nothing else like that in Transformers. I think really
completely agree.
Yeah, cool.
I'm going to pay it what I think is probably the highest compliment that I can pay it, which is that I honestly think that this toy feels like a Masterpiece figure from 10 years ago. It's got that. It's got that era of like Masterpiece when Masterpiece wasn't too complicated. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was accessible, complicated enough that you're like, wow, this is quite involved, or like it definitely has steps in the transformation where you might want to consult the instructions, or and certainly it's got various points where you're like, wow, this is clever. This is like the way that it combines into the robot form is really clever stuff. The way all the different bits interact and stuff, but it feels premium and it feels substantial. And so it's kind of got that nice mix, of being like an accessible toy that actually you can admire as a collector as well.
Yeah.
And I really feel like Masterpiece was vibing with that for the longest time, and then it's gone a different route for and that's the whole other debate. I'm not looking to get into that, but I feel like Magmatron hits that as well in a weird way.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
So
Love
that's
it.
probably the best compliment I can pay. And look, this is a year where it was hard to pick, like a Generations toy, especially because I really feel like the team have been doing a great job of it this year. I mean, this is the year we got Studio Series Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah.
We got some of the comic repaints like Straxus and that kind of stuff, which are just, Straxus especially, I think, and blew me out the water even more than like Flame and Zarin and that kind of stuff. I just think there's been some incredible Generation stuff happening this year, but Magmatron for me just totally stood out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely
Great
been
choice.
a challenge this year to choose one, because
Yes.
and this is another thing I wanted to mention for 2024. So of course, 40th anniversary. But now coming to the end, like there's a whole conversation that we'll have, I'm sure, in the future. But what a year, It's just like
I found myself saying this recurring phrase of, for quite a few times this year of, this figure is so good. If anything else comes out that's better than this, it's been a great year. And I found myself repeating that because every few months, like something's come out, I've gone, oh, this is probably the best thing that's come out this year. Then it's like, oh, something better. But I think we're just really lucky. These last couple of years have been some absolutely stellar toys.
So really have. I mean, to be honest, I whether it's Magmatron or not, I wasn't actually that interested or fussed about saying, this for me is definitively the best toy of the year, because it's like, just, I don't know, throw a dart and just like choose one, it could be any of them. It's,
exactly. I can think of 10 right now that would be on that list, right?
Yeah.
Because of different reasons.
Exactly.
But what's really interesting as well is across all the different lines, from Missing Link to Legacy to the Retro, what else have we got that's been coming out? Masterpiece, there's just been such a wide variety and some real outliers that were brought into the line as well that we never thought were like, well, again, this guy or girl, and that's always been fun as well. So it wasn't as simple as just choosing something because this transformation is really fun or complex or whatever.
Yeah,
it was actually more about the fact of like whether it was an emotional reaction that I had to something, or it was something that I didn't expect. So that's an emotional reaction as well. That was a surprise, or that it was just something that I'd always wanted and it came out. And they've, the decisions that Hasbro Takara have had to make for the 40th, that's really tough to get it right. But they've done a cracking job of just getting stuff out that are across the board for so many different fans. Really great year.
It hasn't felt like just like a conveyor belt of releases. Like in previous years, you would get, say, I don't know, Kingdom, and it would be all the toys from that, and then Masterpiece, and that was about it. That unless you're into sort of the other main lines and stuff like that. But this year, it just feels like there's so much from so many different places. It's like the perfect time to be cherry picking rather than be laser focused on one toy line in particular or something like that.
It did actually present a problem for me though with my collecting this year though, is that I was definitely making decisions about what I was buying because there was so much coming out, and that for Lunar, is it Lunar Convoy that you chose? Is that his name?
The Lunar Cruiser.
Lunar Cruiser
Convoy.
Lunar Convoy. Yeah.
That's the one that I was like. I was so whisker close to getting that, but I can't remember what it was. But something else came out at the same time, and it was basically that choice of like, do I get that one or do I get that one? And it was that kind of thing.
There's been a lot of that this year.
Yeah, we've chatted about it a lot recently as well. But space is always a conversation I have with myself about like, okay, I'm going to get this. Where's it going to go?
That's why I chose Lunar Convoy, Jason.
There we go. I like it. Nice. Take some low space because it is space.
Boom.
There we go.
I love it. There we go. Segment 1 done. Well done, Liam.
Good God. Well done, Liam. That was excellent.
It was genius.
I couldn't help it. But no, I get that. Totally get that vibe. And for me, in some ways that's been really good, because there have been certain times where it's not that I can't afford it. It's just that I've looked at it and gone, I spent a lot, and I'll not pick something up. And in some ways, I think it's actually worked quite well, because it's kind of. It's a bit almost not like a jumping off point, but it's given me a reason to just keep pausing things and look at other things, and you know what I mean? Yeah,
totally.
Rather than feeling beholden to picking up stuff.
No, I absolutely agree with all of that. I think for me as well, it's been kind of a watershed year in a weird way, just because of the amount of stuff that's been coming out kind of forces you to reevaluate a little bit and think,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What are we actually doing here? You know, like this is so much that you have to kind of pick and choose a little bit and think about what you're filling your house with at the end of the day, you know, and make choices.
Yeah, it makes it more fun. It's made it a lot more fun for me, because I was talking to Kelly about this the other day. There was a point, it was a long time ago, well, not that long, but maybe 6, no. Oh, I have no idea about time. We know that, right? But it was a while ago.
Yes, we do know that.
And, but I was just at that point
where
you're
19.
Probably. But things were just arriving, and I was losing track of what was coming in, and I was just getting piles and piles and piles of not even just the toy unopened, but the cardboard box that was unopened.
Yeah.
And it was just a bit ridiculous, and I was like, this isn't healthy. This isn't, I need to just stop and just kind of enjoy these for now, and that was it. So I much prefer that there's so much choice, and that it is just picking and choosing and just going, no, I really want that one in my collection for this reason, because it means more then for me when I do that.
I think Legacy has been really good for that as well, because the sort of nature of Legacy is that you don't have to complete it. It's very pick and choose by its very kind of nature. With the characters that they're doing, they're not filling out rosters or anything like that. I even said this to BMAC, and he agreed. That there's no real sort of feeling that the line is designed around forcing you to want to have to get everything. It's very much like, do you want your Beast Wars guys? Do you want your animated guys? What do you want here? We'll just pick and choose a bit of everything.
Choice.
Just exactly, just whatever, man. And
it's true.
I like that, and I think that's really worked for me, and it's definitely helped me to reevaluate a few things.
I think a lot of the sort of regular sort of, I don't know, sort of almost like guardrails that have been up on collecting since the beginning, I seem to have come down this year. It's weird because it's always been like there would be a main line, then there would be these collector lines, and then if you're in for vintage was over here, you have to go and get it. Now it just kind of feels like there's been everything sort of shifted this year. It's really odd. It's like all the things that the places we would go to get stuff now, you can't as much, and all these sort of things. It just feels like everything has shifted, and it's interesting. It's almost like a new dawn for collectors.
That's a nice way to put it, yeah.
I'm going to miss the 40th. I think it's been the first one. It's felt like a proper anniversary event that Hasbro have done something with, because we had like the 10th, the 25th, the 30th, but they just felt like something they'd slap on a box with no real, care for what it was. It wasn't like a big event. This has felt like the first real significant, important anniversary that they've, celebrated, really.
I think the 20th was pretty big in terms of name, not so much the year itself, because 2004 it was more what the 20th represented, because it gave us stuff like 20th anniversary Optimus Prime and things like that. But so there was some stuff there, and
there was
a lot
stuff,
of
but I mean,
toys.
It's not on this scale where it feels
I agree.
The 40th feels like a major event, whereas the 20th anniversary, we got like MP1, wasn't it, and stuff like that, and it's like, that's important, but that's an important toy on its own. I don't look back and think of that. Whenever I think of that, my first thought isn't that's the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, that's the massive.
I agree.
They feel separate, even though they are connected, if you know what I mean. It's like they are related. But
they are related, but same with like Vinyl Tech and stuff, which was all happening around that time. It doesn't necessarily feel that it was because of the 20th necessarily, whereas the 40th.
True. Whereas this, they've made a real effort, like with that branding. It's like when we first saw it, it was like, oh, it's just going to be like the other ones where it's a sticker on a box or just there with no real rhyme or reason. This feels like they've made a real effort to tie things in. We had stuff in the cinema, which like, the cartoon, and it just feels like there's been for the full year, it's pretty much just been like 40th on everything.
I was thinking exactly this earlier. Yeah. Film, comic, toys, licensed stuff. It's literally all been happening. It's all been firing on full cylinders this year, and it's
games.
been,
and it all ties back to the 40th as well. It's
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
but it's tangibly so that you will remember, like, oh yeah, that was the 40th anniversary Prime.
I
This
think
sort of
so,
stuff like that. Yeah.
But do you not feel as well, though, because we've obviously, like, we've had the likes of Evan on to chat about stuff as well, is that this is a kind of time thing that a lot of people like Evan, who have grown up with Transformers and love them, are now part of
Oh yeah,
Hasbro
Yeah.
and are bringing that love into it. So they know, and they're also, we're aware that they're listening to all the different fans out there, podcasts, looking at media and all that kind of stuff, and really kind of in a great way looking to what the fandom wants and listening and then providing that.
those guys absolutely care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They care about it, and
Good dudes.
yeah, it's really showing this year as well. And
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Couldn't think of it like a better end for the year.
Fantastic, definitely, Jason.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You should work in marketing, Liam. Honestly.
I know. Wasted. Wasted.
Totally. Give him a job, Hasbro.
Yeah. I do think, though, just kind of a final point, and like on a personal level for us, what a year it's been in terms of being involved with stuff as well, right? I mean, obviously the whole Transformers 1 experience was like nothing else.
Yeah.
But even just, other stuff as well. I mean, also talking to designers from Hasbro and really getting involved with them. Stuff like MCM for me was cool. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, just a lot of cool stuff has happened this year, and it really feels like we've made the most of it. I don't know. It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely awesome, and really quite surreal as well. The amount of times that I was posting just saying my 11-year-old self is doing backflips right now was so true, because go into that initial screening of Transformers 1 and talking to Lorenzo and talking to Josh, that was just absolutely amazing. It was like that is one of those moments in my life that I will never forget, and it was so much fun, and it was a real privilege to go, but also just such lovely people to chat to. It was just great.
For
and then
sure.
chatting to Brian recently as well, and as a toy designer, and just the stuff they worked on and the stuff he was coming out with as well. The amount of people I've told about the Boba Fett to the Beast overlap.
Depth charge. Yeah.
Depth charge.
The Beast.
I love that. I thought it was depth charge. It was one of the few that I owned. The animal
The Beast
thing.
overlap.
The Beast
Sounds like
overlap.
a pub, doesn't
I know.
it?
Yeah, exactly. Totally. And then now, just before we're joining to chat tonight, we've got Sonic collab happening as well.
Yeah.
And Tails looking like a little biplane, which is the cutest thing ever.
That's a plane from Sonic 2.
I know. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's so good. Yeah. So cracking.
It has been quite the year, fair to say.
Amazing year.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what happens in 2025.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Right, well, it's that time for the part of the pod where we talk about our sponsor, and that is, as ever, tfsource.com. You can check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs. And we're going to do what we always do, which is pick a toy that's in stock or available for pre-order right now and just have a little quick chat about it. But tonight we've got a bit of a curveball, and not a Jason curveball.
Not me.
It's a Liam curveball, because Liam, you're going to surprise us with something. We don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Liam's coming in with the goods here, because I think we should talk about the Transformers collaborative Monster Hunter toy.
What?
Oh,
that thing. All right, I know which one you mean. Yeah, cool.
what is that thing?
The full name is Rathalos Prime Synergenic Series.
What?
But to you and I, it is the Monster Hunter Transformers collaborative. Well, sorry,
Yes.
Jason, to you and I, it's that. Sixo, it is a computer game.
Right, I figured it was. Yes, I was going to ask actually if this is a computer game.
Yes, so Monster Hunter is a very large computer game franchise, video game franchise, made by Capcom. I've played Monster Hunter World, but it's been going for a long time, but the current ones are quite big on Switch and PlayStation and what have you. And so this is a retool of, it looks like the Kingdom Eraser.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah,
right.
And
which is a
Pterosaur
fantastic mold. I love that mold.
It's a really
It's
good
great.
mold. It doesn't look like that mold at all. Like when I read that it was a remold of that, I was like, what? It's just so heavily done. It's incredible.
Well, I think all of the parts have been retooled, haven't they? So it is the mold or
The shell.
it's the part. Yeah, it's basically the design. It uses all the engineering and just puts a completely different skin on it.
Mm.
And it's so crazy.
It's crazy.
I love it.
I really love it.
I love the sword.
It's the tail.
Yeah, it doesn't look phoned in, and even comes with a matrix for whatever reason. Because like we're talking about with Lunar Cruiser Prime, it is a Prime, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, it is of sorts. Yeah, Beast
Optimus Prime. Yeah, but it's clearly Optimus Prime's head whacked into a dragon bird thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy and weird. This is a collaboration I would never ever have thought of.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, I knew that it was a collab toy, and I'd seen pictures of it, and I was like, "Ugh." Do you know what I mean? I assumed, I didn't know it was a computer game thing. I assumed it was maybe like an anime or something that I just was unfamiliar with. But it does kind of look like an old school Beast Wars toy in a weird way as well. Like, I kind of like it for that.
Yeah, it's funny. When the first pictures appeared online, I thought it was photoshopped because it looks like exactly the kind of thing somebody would Photoshop Monster Hunter or Transformers. And it's kind of interesting because it's the second Capcom series of games, because we had obviously Street Fighter collaboration. It's like, what will they do next? Mega Man, Resident Evil?
Well, I think anything's on the table now. I mean, you just mentioned about the Sonic, collab as well.
Yeah.
And it does feel like we're going to get more of these weird and wonderful, franchises, not the obvious stuff. There was a point, it's kind of what I was saying to Brian last time, is that I think there was a point where it was like, oh, it's going to be all the kind of classic 80s franchises, and that's when stuff like the A-Team felt like a total shoo-in, because it was like, oh, well, they're doing, Top Gun, and they're doing Ghostbusters, like, of course they're going to do Airwolf and whatever as well,
Yeah.
Street Hawk.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
And it's really gone left field of that, and I think for the better probably as well, because it's like we're getting some really creative stuff now.
Yeah, this is
again,
really unusual.
This feels like that mid 2000s Takara sort of weird mashup as well. This is so cool. I think the way they've done it as well, like you look at the beast mode and it just looks crazy.
It does.
Yeah.
I look, that wing motif is amazing. It's very cool.
Yes. Yeah. There's that picture there where Prime's wings look like he's wearing a cape.
Yeah.
It does really look like a cape. I actually thought it looked like fabric at one point. It's not, obviously. It's just the wings folded down. But it really had that, in the Photoshop pictures or whatever, the pictures, it kind of had that fabric-y look about it. And I was like intrigued about it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very unique.
What I love about it is the way that they've got, when we talked about on the Beast Wars episode we did recently, but how they've mixed that kind of robotic and the kind of beast mode together. So you've got all these different, that like silver in his chest kind of bursting out beyond what I consider is kind of scales and feathers and stuff like that. It's just a really nice color scheme. It looks really cool.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I like the detailing on the edge of the wings. If you look at the whole wingspan, it's like they've got little jagged spikes, almost like teeth that run the full length of the wings.
Like leathery, dragony wings, isn't it? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Super cool.
The paint, like you've just pointed out, Jason, it almost looks like some sort of velvety fabric, doesn't it? Like the way the brown's been done. I don't know if that's just the way the photos are, but
no, it does. It looks like it's got texture.
It really
nice
does,
texture.
honestly.
Yeah,
like it's been flocked.
Yeah. Quite extensive for, because this is obviously a Takara Tomy collab. This is not a Hasbro toy. And I do think there's been a little bit of confusion online about that because, well, the Takara Tomy collabs typically are not as extensive, I would say. Like, I think Hasbro actually goes more to town on retooling or new tooling or whatever. Whereas, like the Street Fighter ones were a Takara Tomy thing. And that was mostly repainting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, there was a little bit of retooling, I think, but mostly just, repainting the existing toys. And then you look at like what they've done with the Godzilla stuff, which has been
not great.
Whatever people's opinions on it are, it's had a very muted reception online. There are people that really like it, but it has been met with like a really kind of lackluster response from some quarters, just because it doesn't have a lot of retooling. Again, like some, but not much. And that feels more par of the course for what Takara Tomy do, but this is more extensive.
This is a whole separate figure, isn't it? This is more leaning toward Lunar Cruiser Prime and the DSLRs or the Canon toys and that sort of thing. It kind of feels more in keeping with that. Even though it is a retool, it's so extensive, it feels like a throwback to the old Takara retools where sometimes you look at them and you go, it's like a different toy. Like when they did Blast Off for Unite Warriors and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. That was cool, I figure.
Their own strafe and
Yeah.
things.
Good choice. I'm
Yeah,
pleased
very
that you
good.
brought that one up. So,
Nice.
I mean,
Cool.
it's up for pre-order right now, due to arrive in early 2025, it reckons. So you can go and check that out if indeed that's your want. And do take a look at tiersource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs.
We now return to the Transformers.
Right, well, we're back for more Toys of 2024. And now we're going to talk about, well, toys that are not from 2024, but we acquired in whatever fashion in 2024. And I nearly gave the game away for my choice and said vintage toys. So that might
interesting.
clue you in a little bit.
I know what you've got.
You've got so
I know
many
what it
vintage
is.
toys.
I know what it is. I know
Do
what
you
it
know what it
is?
is?
Yeah,
Do you
because
know what it
I
is?
helped you get it. Yeah.
Did you?
If it's who I think it is.
Probably isn't then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to
Okay
say,
then. No, it's
I'm
not that-
sensing it's not.
It's not that one then.
Right.
Okay
Read
then.
the room, Jason. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not that one. Okay, fine.
Well, either I've forgotten your contribution to it, or it's a completely different toy. So,
Well, we'll find
I guess
out.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
will. We will. But Liam, you're going to kick us off again, or what?
Oh, this one's tough.
Are you
because
torn?
I've got so many great things. Yeah, there have been so many cool toys that I've picked up this year, like G1 World for the first time, and
Right.
Predaking was right at the very, very start of this year.
Yeah,
and
Good toys.
you know, that KO Metro Titan turned out to be really, really fun. And there are so many different toys I've bought this year. A lot of them not even Transformers. I've got a lot of Batman things, but I think I'm torn between two. I was gonna pick the G1 Star Saber.
Yes.
I feel like
Ooh.
I feel like that's the obvious one, and it's the one I should pick because it's an amazing grail to get.
You haven't
Yeah.
even shared any pictures of it, man, have you? Like, I've not seen anything from you in terms of photography.
No,
of that thing.
I'm kind of waiting until my Christmas holidays from work to kind of really
Yeah.
just sit down
Do
quietly.
it justice. Yeah.
Like I've opened it and looked at it and taken it out and been like, oh, this is so nice. I've still got the stickers to put on it, but yeah, but it's I don't know, I kind of saving that. I think what actually ended up being my favorite toy I picked up this year was the Mega Drive Megatron,
Wow.
Oh,
Good choice.
yes. That's cool.
which
Yeah.
is a toy most people don't appear to like because they don't like the remote.
Right.
But the alt mode is a small Mega Drive,
That's
and I've
brilliant.
wanted it for so many years without getting it, and this year, finally got that toy, and
Yeah.
I think that turned into my favorite thing I did pick up in the end.
That's a really cool choice. I know that you were super happy to get it. It does look really good, I think. But I have read from a few people that they're like, they don't rate it or whatever. But so
Oh
do they.
man,
Oh, no, I think it's cool.
well,
I think it's cool.
yeah, it looks great. It's less great to touch, but it
Oh,
looks
right.
brilliant. Yeah, the transformation is horrible, and yeah, the robot mode has very small feet that make him hard to balance. But it's just, I think it's the whole package when you get the box and it's got the whole old Sega stuff on it, and you can take the little cartridge out, you can unplug
Yeah.
the control pad, and I think just all the years of wanting that, like Star Saber always seemed like a out of reach goal, so I never really thought
Yeah.
about it too much. Whereas this was always one of those toys I always regretted not picking up, and I've frequently missed the chance to do it, or just chosen not to. And so getting that this year felt like a real nice thing to pick up.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it? So it's one I don't have it. I've always wanted it purely for the nostalgia feels of, because the original Sega Mega Drive that it represents is the one that I had, and I would love to have that next to my actual Mega Drive 1. I'm aware it is a lot smaller, but I don't really care about that.
Yeah, it's way smaller than
It's way
than
smaller.
a real
yeah.
Mega Drive.
Yeah. It's more like a cartridge size.
Yeah, it's more like the classic minis sort of sizes. or
Yeah.
something.
But
like that.
it's what I love about it though is it is the perfect transformer. It is a robot in disguise. It's absolutely ideal.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's quite micro change in its way,
It is,
isn't it? It's
exactly.
quite sort of,
Yeah,
it's got
it's
that
cool.
vibe about it, even though it's not 1-to-1 scale.
No,
but-
I think that's one of the things that's so appealing about it is, again, it's like that kind of Takara, just sort of strange thing that nobody saw coming, and you're like, wait, why?
yeah.
But also awesome, more of this.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's so
Totally.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm
Yeah.
not. I used to have a mate when I was that age, that had a Mega Drive. But other than that, I never had a Mega Drive myself. I had a SNES, but even I have looked at this in the past and been like, that's so
Tempting.
weird and cool that it would almost be tempting. It's just like one of those real oddity toys that even if it is a bit crap, it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sort of part of the charm in a weird way. Like it doesn't have to be the best figure ever.
Yeah, it's the funny thing. Like I've heard so many bad stories about it. But when I got it, I'm like, it's not even that it's bad or crap. It's just that it's of a time. So like the articulation. It's articulated, but a lot of it works against you in ways that if you were picking up toys at this time, you'll recognize straight away. You'll be like, I forgot sometimes toys were like this. Awkward. You know what I mean? Like just really awkward little like spiky panels on things. And you're like, but it's got to turn into a Sega Mega Drive, and it does it. And the robot mode still turns out looking pretty cool. Yeah. And it's got a cartridge in the chest, and
that's
like
cool.
The keypad like splits and things, and the buttons, you can press the buttons on it on the keypad.
Is the keypad the kind of fusion cannon, or what's
no, that's
there?
just the side of the Mega Drive. The joypad with its buttons it's like a separate part, but it splits in half for you to they think it just goes on his back. Can't remember.
Okay. I wasn't sure because it's got the wire hanging out to the kind of cannon, which I thought was really cool.
Does it
not? I've seen a couple of pictures
I think the wire is from the controller.
Right. Okay.
The cannon is just like about 25% of the side of the Mega Drive just kind of
right.
comes
Okay.
off.
Cool. I've just seen a couple of pictures with like the wire coming out of the cannon into his backpack almost.
No, I think that's with the controller because it has the wire. But even the wire plugs into the front, and the port has like a little tiny cap that you can plug in that looks like a controller port, but you take it out so you can plug the controller in. Little tiny touches like that.
That's nice.
And it's just like they did a Genesis version for Americans. And weird nature of calling the Mega Drive the Genesis for some silly reason.
It's copyright. That's why they don't want to get sued. My problem with it's not a problem, right? But and
here we go.
No, but it was
Jason's curveballs.
It's no curveballs.
Jason is here.
Yeah, these are not the vibes you're looking for. Gonna trash that toy you like, Liam.
No, I love that toy, but I know that I would have to buy the PlayStation 1 version as well.
I really want that. I would love to get that.
Yeah.
And Maz will be listening to this going, I've sent you the link 15 times and you've never bought it. But
so there was actually a guy who was contacting me on that platform that I no longer talk about, the social platform, and it was he'd messaged me saying, "Oh, I've got these two to sell," and it was the Mega Drive and the PlayStation that he had as well.
No, nice.
But it was it was very desirable at this point. This was maybe a few years ago, so it was a chunk of money, and I was just like, "Oh, do I want them that much?" And I said no, but I do have a kind of like, I could have got them both at the same time because it was that thing that they were the as you said earlier, the boxes they come in, the way it looks, and the only reason that I have a bit of regret now is because I have since bought the actual consoles. So I have a console collection. I've got PS1, I've got the Mega Drive, I've got all these things. And I'm like, damn, that would look so good together,
Yeah.
So,
it's still time. It's still possible to get it.
I'm sure.
True.
It's one of those just kind of crazy things when you transform it into the Mega Drive mode and you've gone through hell to get it there.
It sounds awful.
You spent an obscene amount of time squishing it, that kind of way sometimes when things don't quite go together and you can't work out why, so you're just trying to crush it. There's a lot of that, but once you do it and you just look at it and it's just a little marvel, because for people of our age, like Nintendo, Sega and stuff like that, there's just that instant warm blanket of nostalgia comes over you.
That's it.
I never had a Mega Drive, my cousin did, but I knew a lot of people that did, and it's just there's just something lovely about it, and the fact that the cart that comes inside it is the Sonic the Hedgehog as well. So
that's so cool, isn't it?
And you can pop it out.
It's brilliant. Do you know the thing is? So this happens for me is that it's so silly, but when I see the Mega Drive, I just hear the Sega sound when it comes up.
And
then
Sega.
And the same with PlayStation as well, which with the 30th anniversary of PlayStation, my PS5 has just updated and is playing the original PlayStation startup sound, which is so cool.
Mine too.
So cool.
I got that controller, Jason, the 30th anniversary PS5 controller.
So
it's lovely. Yeah.
So that is a thing that I thought, like, how cool would it be to get like a controller that was full size, but that was a transformer? That would be a really nice. So you had a PS5 controller that transformed. That would be cool. Yeah,
be like Real Gear. but
Yeah,
real.
that
Oh.
was the whole thing, wasn't it? Real gear. I know, exactly.
Yeah, they had like a little controller on that. But
I want that Mega Drive now as well.
Oh, look, you're enabling Jason on all the things tonight.
Yeah,
wow,
Santa's
that's what
list
we're all doing
again.
now. Let's just,
I know.
Jason's
true.
just going to leave this, having just buying loads of toys. But yeah, I think it gets a bad rap, and a lot of it's deserved because it's, but it's just very of a time. And I think for certain people like us, I think it's that kind of thing that you'd get it and you'd overlook a lot of the flaws, and
Yeah.
you kind of like, oh yeah, it's kind of very retro feeling. Yeah, cool. Interesting
Great
thing.
choice.
Very
choice,
good
man.
choice.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it should have won the freaking poll. How did it not win the poll?
Well, yeah, it didn't win the poll. It was
Yeah.
kicked out pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Fools.
You're right, though. It is one of those kind of cool ideas, a bit like the kind of Canon Transformers now. The camera Transformers that you were talking about earlier. In that, it's a shame that they're a little bit undersized as well because they're so close to the size of the actual camera that they really, you do kind of think it really should have been, just to make it perfect. But even then, it's just cool to see this stuff, and I hope they do more of it because there's so much potential for those kinds of toys that, like we said earlier, don't need to fit into a line or anything like that. They can just be one-off things,
And like you say, there's kind of a spiritual successor to microchange element to it, where you see that and it looks like a real thing that just sits on your desk. That
so true.
If someone coming in would look at it, they'd go, "Oh, that's a cool little tiny Mega Drive." They wouldn't realize it's a Transformer because there's nothing to give it away unless you look really close and know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
keep in mind that's what BotBots were, and I have those all over my studio. And people walk in and be like, "Oh, you've got a tiny arcade machine," and I'm like, "Yes, I do." And they don't know it's a robot. Exactly. And then they all run around.
Do you do that thing that you did with us earlier where you reveal Sentinel Prime, where you pull that face and go, wow.
Well. Exactly. And everyone that knows me knows that I'm going to just do that at some point as well. So, that's
God, here he goes.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that people might be humouring you where they walk into a room like filled with Transformers, like wall-to-wall Transformers, and they look at one toy and they're like, "Is that a real arcade machine?" Like, do you ever think that people might just know that it's a Transformer and that they might just be like, having a little bit of humour with you?
I like Jason's view of the world where everything is. Everybody is like so super genuine and
exactly. Right.
It's true.
Oh, people are so surprised. It's a Transformer. Like 500 Transformers all in cabinets.
I know, brilliant. Oh my goodness. Oh, sussed. That's very
so
true.
funny. You should put some real world objects in there, just like a
to
Hoover or
confuse
something.
people.
People will be like, "Oh my god,"
like an old remote control. For
pick up and just break it, thinking it's a Transformer.
Yeah. Which one is this?
Yeah.
Remotatron.
Jason,
exactly.
you make me laugh.
Oh, dear.
Well, talking about microchange and that kind of pre-Transformers era, probably time to come on to my choice, right? And
wait. Oh no, yeah, let's do yours actually. It's in a different order. I like it. It's good.
are we? Is that okay? Because
no, it's good.
Go for it. I like this.
Yeah. We're going to break the order.
This sounds like the one that I pointed you to. Well, anyway, let's go.
Well, maybe, but not actually.
I
don't know. I'm trying to remember if you were involved. So I was torn. I had two. That
Were you all out of faith?
I nearly made that joke when you said you were torn earlier. Like I was this close. But then I left it. I thought, no, I won't do that.
Well, I guess the fortune teller's blind. So,
Yeah.
Right, moving swiftly on. So I had two. I'm wondering if, Jason, when you said that you...
Does it begin with S?
Like S in terms of the Transformers name?
Yes.
Right. Well, I've thought about this guy.
So that's the one.
Is,
so that's
course,
the one I was thinking of.
Right. So this is obviously the Diaclone Red Countach, which is the most incredible item that you could think of because it's the item, isn't it? It's the
starting point,
progenitor of everything. It's the starting point. It's literally the DNA of everything that has become Transformers, and I own it, which is incredible. And
cool.
I never thought that I would. It's a bit like you and Star Saber in a way, Liam, that it's like just there was no expectation for me to ever actually own this thing. It's just like now it's in my house, I'm looking at it, and I'm sort of slightly in awe of it, to be honest, because it's in such nice shape. and it's just like a regular Sunstreaker, G1 Sunstreaker, but in red, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of blown away by how
It's
lovely it
amazing.
is, honestly.
Incredible thing to own, man. Really good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's not your choice then.
But it's not. It's not my choice
Oh.
because there's something.
Oh, of course, I know.
And kind of on the theme with Liam, where it's like I think that should have been the choice in a weird way, and it almost was, but because I never thought I would own it. Whereas the other thing is another pre-Transformers. It is microchange, and it's something that I've wanted for years and years and years and years, and I've looked at so many times.
I know what it is now.
Yeah, totally.
It's this guy. It's Magnum 44 Robo, and what to say about this thing? So, I mean, this is obviously the other gun that was released in microchange. You know, you had the Browning mold, you had the Megatron mold, and then you had this guy, which is a Smith & Wesson. It's a Magnum 44. It's just incredible. It's
not a PI.
Not a PI.
Not a PI.
Indeed.
No, true.
Yeah. It since sort of been known as kiloton in Transformers, which I think is a cool, never released as that, but it's like, you know, people have sort of made that link and it's on the wiki as kiloton, and for whatever reason.
Is that because he kills a ton of people?
Maybe, yeah. It's kind of a cool name for it. I don't mind it at all, but the things that I can say about this toy are that it's just so good, and actually it's probably the best of the 3 gun robo that were in microchange.
Wow.
Yeah, not gonna say that lightly, but it's better than Megatron in my opinion. I can see why they didn't use this one and they did use Megatron. Like, it's, you know, there are advantages of that, and obviously Megatron has the the stock and the silencer and all of that kind of stuff that kind of make it more of a whole package. This one though is just the gun itself, but it has all the bullets and little targets and things, but it has a working chamber. So like the chamber actually folds out of the side of the gun. You can load all the little bullets in. The chamber rotates, so as you fire it, it moves round and actually like shoots all the bullets out of the chamber itself, which is, I mean, the engineering is like nothing you've ever seen. That's really like, it's so incredible. I thought Megatron was impressive, some of the engineering and things, but this is on like a whole other level. But the transformation as well is incredible. I had purposely never looked up how this thing transformed because I've looked at so many listings for it. All of them have been either knackered or crazy price, and I got super lucky, and it's in really good condition as well. But I'd never looked up how to transform it because I always kind of wanted that. I knew it was going to be weird, and I wanted that experience, you know, not seeing on like a video or whatever. And it's so cool because like the actual chamber has like an arm in it that you kind of push out, and like it comes out of the side, and the other arm is made up of the barrel of the gun kind of folded in half, and it's really asymmetrical and cool and just weird, and like nothing else that I've ever seen really, but it feels super stable and like it's a little bit wobbly, but like more solid than Megatron, I would say.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
So we were just obviously talking about the Mega Drive, and it's difficult when I'm looking at images of him here. I've never held a revolver. I doubt I ever will. But like, does it fit your hand in a kind of what feels like the right size?
It's like the other guns, isn't it? Where it is like
pretty accurate-ish.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not a gun expert by any stretch. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's very realistic looking. I mean, mine has the orange cap on the end because mine is actually, I should say, is the European version, the Italian version. So, because of course it was released by Dakar initially, and then Jig released it as Pistola Robot, which is technically the version I have, Transformer. Which it's funny because. Yeah, I mean, it's an official thing. It's an official release, but it's funny because when I posted pictures of the box, a lot of people, I think, thought it was a KO because it has Transformer on it. But it is official. But because it was released in mainland Europe, it has the orange cap on it. It's kind of actually a red cap, if anything. It's not orange, really. But that doesn't bother me. You can't take it off, I don't think.
You can't, right. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
So they glued in or something?
It's glued on.
Is it glued on?
Yeah, it's glued on. Yeah, it's glued on. I wouldn't want to take it off.
To be fair, it's like, 40 years old, so at some point the glue is probably going to disintegrate and the cap will just fall out anyway.
Maybe.
True. Yeah.
I mean, it's very realistic looking, and it's the kind of thing that I wouldn't like leave lying around the house. I know that sounds silly, but it's like, you know, it's I was like nervous about getting it shipped and all of that kind of stuff. You know, you have that slight knot in your stomach about like, is it going to be okay and whatever else. So I ported it myself and so like I could make sure that it didn't include the word gun on the customs form and things like this, because that was like they would have opened it in that case, and that would have been a bit of a disaster. But yeah, it's one of those that I always wanted it, and now I have it. I'm just overjoyed with it. It totally met my expectations, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like so many toys we think of as old, don't we? Like,
Yeah.
we look at all the Transformers and we think they're old, but they're still toys for kids. And it's funny that the guns aren't anymore. Like, I think for me, that's the clearest dividing line between
so true.
toys for our generation and modern toys.
Yeah.
Whereas usually it's just like technology, like they just get better or things change like that. Whereas this is very much like you can't have toys like that anymore because for very good reasons. But it's just a real like line in the sand. It's a real different kind of like,
absolutely dates this thing. Like it's almost looking at it. I looked at the gun mode and I was holding it in my hand, and I had exactly the feeling that you're talking about there, that like it's hard to imagine this being given to kids now, like you can't imagine it now back in the day. And I was watching some old microchange adverts, from Japan and what have you, and there are, in the adverts, there are obviously kids holding Megatron and running around with it and whatever, and it's just so weird to see. And totally. It really feels like an element of its time. I think it's something that like younger generations, like even my son, will look back at and be like, what? Like, it makes no sense,
Guns have such a different place in society now, I think, in terms of how we think of them. Because like even when we were kids, we would run about with them and you don't really think of the sort of the realities of that. But like the way we ourselves still, when we get these toys, like with Megatron, like if I transformed him, when I do, like the vintage toy, I be very aware that there's no windows around. You know what I mean? Like, you have a very different mindset to it. It sounds silly, but you do. You think of this mode as something very different to what you did as a kid, and I think it's the only real toy I can think of like that. Like, your perspective on it is completely changed, despite the fact the toy itself hasn't changed at all.
Yeah,
and it's nothing to do with it aging in physical ways. It's aging in how we
like society
consider what that is and what that means.
It's true.
Yeah. There's a power to it, I think, and I think you feel that power to it when you see it, because you're so much more aware of
I think that's
gun
absolutely
crime
right.
and people dying and stuff like that.
But the other thing as well is that unlike something like Shockwave, which looks like a laser gun, it looks something spacey and fantastical and
Gunball.
These other gun robos, they look so real. They absolutely need that red cap in the end. Although I always wonder how, if you get confronted with a gun and then someone pointing at you, how you would even register that anyway. But that's a whole other conversation.
It's not very noticeable. Is that you're right? Yeah, because it's. I didn't even really clock it. I knew it was there, but you really don't notice it. It's not like you're looking at it the whole time going, oh, it's got this sort of cap on the end, It's
totally,
it's a strange thing.
I'm looking at images, especially on the Kapow Toys blog, of Transformer, actually, and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And that's
the one I have,
Yeah, so the entire line of them there, from like what becomes Megatron, but then also the what was the E-Hobby, now Megatron, with the black with the brown kind of grip, and
the one that you should have, but
the one, I knew that was going to come up. No, I was fine for Dugatron to get that one. That's,
Dugatron got it instead. He got himself a bargain.
It's fine, I was all right. You know what? I'm a bit weird.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But
Jason, who are you?
No, not a proper collector. I know exactly.
I did a good haggle job on that.
You did as well. I know. What were you like? It was like, oh no, I'm Mr. Sensible with my mortgage.
So for the benefit of context for people listening, this was the TF Nation in Reading recently, and there was a E-Hobby Black Megatron for sale, and the guy was so lovely. The guy selling it, a really nice guy. But I negotiated a little price and whatever. And Jason, you were not there, but I was texting you back and forth and like opening it and sending you pictures and all of this. So then when I got that was a really good price, I think. So then when you came back, like, nah, I'm going to leave it. Actually, it was a bit like, oh,
what the?
I'll just pack it back up then. Do you know what I mean? No problem.
Sorry.
Sure. And then Dugatron had obviously got wind of what the price was, and he was like, I'm going in. Do you know what I mean?
I know. It's inevitable, well, I'm holding out. That's it. But
what for?
for
a worse
one-
deal.
for a nice box. That's what it was.
The box
you know.
was not
That's what,
not
you
the
know,
best.
I'm
but,
I'm
it's
a
fair to
sucker
say.
for
But it's a
boxes.
generic box. It's a generic box. There's no
but-
artwork on the box.
Do you know, it's funny though as well, because I did at TFN this year, I did buy the hobby set of, was it Perceptor? I can't remember now. It wasn't that. Anyway, one of them, but it was a really knackered.
so many things.
I've got so many things. I know, I got lost track, but it was a knackered box in that situation. But do you know, the reality as well is if I'd been there in person as well, I think that probably would have swung it, because I would have been just in hand.
Yeah, I will say those boxes are totally generic. Like because the actual box shape and everything, they use them on multiple different toys. Like if you look at all the Seekers, they have the same box, but it's also the Insecticons are in the same box as well.
Oh, it's the
just
Insecticons that's
plastic...
knackered that I've got. Yes, yeah, that's the one I got.
It's just the plastic trays that are different. That's all.
Yeah, totally. No, Duggatron, give it back. But going back to Transformers, just seeing these all laid out in this poster, which is just fascinating and lovely to see. But those guns, they just, in this image, I've got like Soundwave standing in robot mode, and then I've got the kind of the watches and reflector, and then you've just got these guns just lying there, which is so
integral
like
part
now,
of the line.
Yeah, it's all part of the line, but it is just so. And we obviously talked to Evan about this and stuff as well. But it's so weird because it's like the ultimate baddie that is perfect in that respect. Yeah, this gun is the baddie and all this kind of stuff as well. But they are so real.
But they weren't even really intended as baddies. That's
no, at this point, of course not. No, it was literally robots it was just, they were in disguise, weren't they? You know, that was
but
an everyday
when we were
thing.
kids, it was always like all TV programs were like that, like Magnum PI,
totally.
A-Team, and pretty much everything, even like G.I. Joe, Transformers. They're all like heroes.
It was
fighting
all
with guns, isn't
Absolutely.
it? It's all very much like police with guns. That was always the kind of thing when we were kids. It's like gun was almost like given to the good guy, wasn't it? It was it's not in the same way we view it now, where it's like the bad guy is the person with the gun.
Well, you got to think that the implication in Microchange is that all of those items that you're talking about, that are in that advert, are household items.
They're
just items that would be everyday household items that would be sitting in the household, just around the house, So you're right. It's like, you've got your microcassette player, your camera, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there was obviously like little padlocks and things as well, and just a load of guns. But not like even just one gun, many guns, like enough guns to necessitate a rack,
Well, this is the thing, because there's 4 of them, which is just what's so mind-boggling about this image as well.
I think it's so of the time, though, isn't it? It really is.
Totally,
it's that whole freaking Reagan era. It's that 80s boom where, guns were all over TV, and it's all that kind of, very much that.
And then for the Autobots, we just had all the little well, they weren't Autobots at this point, but the microchange, so we had all the little, what becomes the mini Autobots.
Mini vehicles.
The mini vehicles. Mini vehicles, sorry, good
You were about to call them mini Autobots, I know, or whatever.
The thing is as well, the guns would have been the cool toys, wouldn't they? They would have been the ones where kids would have been like, at that age, you'd been like, oh, I want the toy gun. But the thing, this is so different.
This is why this is actually a really good choice as well, the Sixo, because you can see this line, and not just talking about Diaclo now, but I'm talking about for Transformers, and having talked to Evan, is Megatron, Shockwave, they're of a time, and we are not going to get those again. We're not going to get a gun Transformer again from what we've chatted about and all that kind of stuff. So you getting this and choosing this is kind of like, it's very much, it's a bit like Spin Out as well, in the fact that Spin Out's the beginning of what becomes Transformers. The first point, but then this is very much
that was just him flexing, by the way. That's what he's doing.
It was a little bit, but
I've just got to get this in.
I could go for more, honestly. Like, there's more. I can.
I know, exactly.
Get cabinet open and
cut him off. Cut his mic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but on the Signal chat, I was watching a spin out a couple of days ago that was on eBay, and it was just sitting at a really good price for ages. And then I missed a last minute bid, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a punt and see what happens. And it was that classic eBay thing where it just went crazy in literally the last 6 seconds, and it sold for a sizable chunk, but it was in lovely condition, and it had all its stuff with it and everything like that. But it was the same as you.
It's a good
that
one to get.
I was looking at it purely because of, and it was actually at the same time that we were all chatting about Missing Link, Sunstreaker, and Corden as well. And I was like, this is kind of cool to have this, all these versions of that mold is kind of cool in that respect,
It is cool. I mean, I know they're going to do a Missing Link spin out. Of course they are. It doesn't detract from me at all, like owning the original. It doesn't compete with that.
Not a pistol.
Not right.
No pistol though. No, exactly.
No pistol. But I suppose that's the point, is that they will make a spin out, I've no doubt, and it can sit alongside my vintage copy. And I love the vintage copy because it's a different thing. But that, in a way, is also why the Magnum 44 is sort of so separate, because they're never going to recreate it. It's never going to be seen again. There's only ever going to be those original releases of it, and it just stands apart from everything else. It's like the road not traveled, with Transformers and whatever else. Like it, didn't even make it into Transformers, so it's just utterly unique in that regard.
Yeah, and I think in your collection and having that as a piece, it's a massive talking point, and it is all part of what I personally love about this line, where it came from, the history of it, and what it became, and where it is going now as well.
Well, when people come round, they're like, "Oh my god, is that a real gun?" I'm like, surprise,
surprise.
Well,
it's like the Hellboy meme. He's got a gun.
He's got a gun. It's a Transformer.
Exactly.
It's not though. It's microchange, but that's by the.
Are they all like? I think we got a Transformer.
Exactly. This is Jason's house.
That is just my house. Who knows?
Is this the one that the Action Master was sort of loosely inspired by? There's another one, isn't there?
There's another one, but that's
actual chamber in the chest.
That's not actually a Takara product, weirdly. I have that as well, so I've got quite a few old Gun Robo and stuff, and I have that
Look at
one
him,
as
he's
well.
a right gun collector, isn't he?
He's probably got a
They're
case
all in robot mode, actually, but I do like them. But no, that is a totally separate one, and that's a cool product itself. But yeah, that's what's the inspiration for G1 Treadshot, the Action Master.
Yeah.
But no, this is a separate thing. So yeah, it doesn't even have any toys referencing it or anything like that. So very just an odd piece, but very cool.
Very awesome.
It's an amazing choice, by the way. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you picked that, because
Thank you.
I enjoy chatting about those kind of things.
Yeah, it's cool.
Just a real oddity.
It's very cool.
Come on then, J Swags.
No pressure, Jason.
I know.
Hit us with your curveball.
No pressure.
Do you want a curveball?
Here we go.
Is it just one figure?
Oh god, is it Missing Link?
Missing Link combo.
Is it Missing Link Anime Optimus Prime?
That was
surprise.
That would have been funny, wouldn't it? I did get that as well. Okay, so you guys were with me and all those other lovely people at TFN, and I did have a quite a TFN to remember, and there was one pickup.
Some amazing stuff.
I did.
Yeah.
My one considered curveball was the Omegatron from Grandstand, which isn't even a Transformer, that I picked up from TFN, which I love. But my actual choice, and it's not intended as a curveball, bear with me, is BotCon 2011 Stunticons.
It's your animated Stunticons. I knew it.
Animated Stunticons, but specifically because I'm just choosing one for the moment, which is the Motormaster is the one that I'm choosing as my figure. And different reasons. So that's the one that I've taken out the box and I've played with and that I've experienced and all that kind of thing. And the reason I chose that one when I got that set before I moved house was
where's the curveball?
Well, well, it's because it was 5 figures, right? That was why. So there was 5 figures in that box.
Constitute a curveball.
I know it's not much of a curveball. I was just winding you up, really.
It's one package. I know. He does this every time now. Where he's like, "Oh, got a curveball.
Here we
What's it
go.
gonna be?"
It's actually the keyring in the bot concept.
Listening to him with a really good reason, and I'm just thinking, my head just can't get away from. What's the curveball bit here? This is a fantastic choice, by the way. Incredible choice.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's the thing about this figure.
Hell of a curveball.
Yeah, it's another prime, right? There's a lot of primes because it's based on the prime mold, obviously. But I had never experienced this version of the mold before because I have the Supreme version, which is very different, as you found out at TFN as well. Sixo. Very, very different. God. I took this guy out of the box, and I had to go online to find the instructions because I didn't want to open the instructions in the box because they're still sealed, and I'm a bit like that. So I went away because there's a lot of nice little panels, but a lot of fun with this figure because, again, as I say, it's not a mold that I'd experienced and stuff like that. But how Animated did it so well, where they create a stunning alt mode, like stunning alt mode in those color schemes, looks amazing. And then that transformation where the body of the robot just bulks out as you transform it, just great. And what a retool for a BotCon set. It's like, and my first BotCon and only BotCon set I got, actually.
Ooh,
yeah,
special on numerous levels.
Yeah, it was, and also I am going to give a shout out again to Toyfu because of how wonderful those lot are, and what they do for Mary's Meals is amazing. But I picked up a ton of stuff from them. But for them to be able to get this as well and to have that at TFN was, it was one of those things that same as you're talking about, Sixo. I never thought I'd pick this set up, and
no,
it's stunning. It really is a stunning set.
Can I say as well, you got it for an incredible price.
Yeah,
like I know I said it at the
You
time.
really did.
I was like, what? Like, genuinely, I think it could sell for twice what you paid.
Yeah. Which it seems to normally do as well, to be completely honest. And considering it was because I wasn't aware until I talked to someone else at another stall later. He's like, oh yeah, and he started lifting stuff out. And he's like, you've got all the stuff underneath. And there's all this because I not experienced a BotCon before. There's all this paperwork and everything in there and all these little extra bits, which was... It's just such a nice set, isn't it? It's just so lovely. And and the animated stuff is, I am an absolute sucker for that. It sits in high regard with my G1 stuff as well, because it's so well designed. And the Motormaster is just a brilliant figure. Really
great retool.
Yes.
Have you wrapped your head, obviously not having seen the Voyager Optimus Prime mold before, the animated mold, have you wrapped your head around the waist transformation?
So you clip it in, do you mean, as he spins round?
Well, the way it spins. So, like, if you're going to robot mode, obviously there's a little catch at the back. So if you're going to robot mode, you just release the catch and it spins by itself. So it kind of like unwinds almost, and the legs spin round. You've got to hold it by the top of the body.
I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know it did it automatically.
Yeah. That's how it works. The weird bit actually is going back to truck mode, because you have to rotate the waist one way, really. Just like I can't remember if it's left or right, but you've got to rotate it the one way. And as you're rotating it, you have to kind of gently push it up backwards and clip it in.
So
and
that
it's
bit
quite
made
a
me
specific
nervous.
mechanism.
Yeah, that made me nervous. That bit. Yeah.
I've seen people just literally ratchet it down, like, grinding the gears, basically, just like, like that. And I would be nervous about doing that. Yeah,
so it was because that whole clip bit at the back, it reminded me a bit of transforming a Power Master without putting the Power Master in, and I'm just going to break something, So it was kind of like, that's the reason I went off to get the instructions, to make sure that I wasn't like doing anything that I shouldn't do as well.
I've just posted a video on this mold, actually, because and it did the transformation then, and it's really interesting because I think it's one that you've got to kind of see to understand, if that makes sense. Like, I seem to recall when I first got the Optimus, watching a video or something, because I was just like, tried to do it without the instructions, and I was just like, what is happening here? Like,
well, that was it. Totally. And it's got like it's got the little panels that kind of clip together to make the bumper area and stuff like that. And you have to align everything really nicely. And the tolerances are great, though. And keeping in mind that this is the remold. So, but it worked once it was all correct. Because when I did get it out of the box, it hadn't been kind of clipped together properly. So it was a bit wobbly, and I was a bit nervous about that. But once it was all clipped together, it was solid as. And just a really nice, well-made, well-manufactured figure that is really satisfying. Yeah, so it just ticked all those boxes that I love. Yeah, really good.
That was a legendary purchase. It was just, incredible show for you anyway. But, that really sealed the deal.
That was the kind of peak. But I did have so many amazing kind of standout purchases from this year as well. The Eva Prime from Manchester Mini.
Another good haggle.
Yeah, that was, and that's just a stunning figure in itself. And then there was a ton of like just other little bits and bobs that I got. But I think because the BotCon set is so unique and so rare as well, that it's like one of those ones that it was just a really good memory, which is all part of my purchasing as well. Like to go to TFN and get something that's proper treatsy as well. So I'm really looking forward as well to experiencing all the other figures in that set as well, because they just like, what a great set. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so cool.
It's a really nice set. There's not a duffer in there. I mean, obviously the Hot Rod mold is great. It's been retooled into Breakdown. The drag strip mold is fantastic.
brilliant.
Love all of them, honestly.
Yeah, it's cool.
I really like the dead end, actually, out of Jazz. I think that might be a favourite.
It's because
really
it's like quite often in photos it looks more pinky, but in hand it's actually quite a really like a plum kind of red to it, which is really quite striking in itself. And that orange stripe that goes down it as well. They're just really nice paint schemes to them and stuff like that. And I am an absolute sucker for the Stunticons at the best of times anyway. So to get those in animated line, it's brilliant. Yeah, really good.
I think it's possibly the best set of Stunticon toys that I can think of. And I say that knowing that they don't combine, but in a way that's what makes them better, because they all have a lot of individual personality. They all feel like
unique,
their own individual toy.
Individual,
Exactly. They're not hampered by the fact that they've got to combine into something, and it just makes the set feel really great, like a proper set of 5 figures, not just like you don't get that thing where you're like, guess I'll smash these into a big man then. Do you know what I mean? You actually spend time with them as an individual, 5 individual toys. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's great. It's one of those. It's like, because again, since I've moved, I got them, had a look at Motormaster, and then put them all back in the box. And then they are upstairs. They're I definitely know where they are, but might not be able to find the train bots, but I can definitely find them. So they're figures that I am really looking forward to just actually properly having a look at as well. But what a treat! 2024. Never thought I'd get those.
Well, what a weirdly varied set of toys that we've chosen, like Mega Drive Megatron, the Microchange Magnum Robo, and animated Botcon Stunticons. Just like, you can't get more disparate choices than that, surely.
It's good. I know. Cool. What's this? No overlaps. Very impressed,
Yeah.
Like a Christmas stocking filled with random stuff.
Exactly like that.
The best stuff.
Bits and bobs.
Yeah, exactly like that. It has been quite the year, hasn't it? It's fair to say. So, and I've really enjoyed this little chat down memory lane and kind of reminiscing as well. So, but if you want to get more like this, then you know what you need to do. You should get on our Patreon, because there's loads of good stuff on there. There's absolutely tons of great stuff on there. We've got all kinds of perks. You can support us and keep the pod running, which is much, much appreciated. We've had quite a few signups recently, haven't we? So, which is really great. But, you can keep us going, but also get some good stuff in return. Lots of great chats. We've just launched another chat about the latest Skybound Transformers issue on there. Some strong opinions coming in from Mr. Soapbox and Mr. J Swags, actually, I will say. We've had minisodes, lots of great minisodes going on recently. So it's all good stuff that you're going to want to stick in your ears.
Popping off over there.
It's popping off, always. And another great perk, of course, is that people get to ask questions, don't they, Jason?
They do indeed, yes. How many have we got tonight? We've got 1, 2, 3 tonight as well. So let's dive in. First one is from Primus84. I've got a question for you all for the pod. If you could have Matt Marshall, who is Rocklords, is that right, on Instagram?
At Rocklords Rock.
Rocklords Rock, that's right. So Matt does all these amazing customs at TFN and all that kind of stuff as well. So if you could have
charity,
Matt, for charity, make any G1 custom for you, what would you ask for and why? Sixo, let's come to you.
Well, good question. It would probably be the kill switch stroke hexadecimal that he's currently working on right now. Like, hard to think of anything other than that, really, because he's doing seemingly such a bang up job on that. Otherwise, probably just more Action Masters. Matt has made so many like custom Action Masters before, and I am privileged enough to own quite a few of them. But there's seemingly no end to. I've been chatting with him before, like, could you do this one and do that one? And what was really funny is I remember talking to him once, and this tells you how long ago this conversation was, because I'm saying to him, you know what you should do? You should do an Action Master prototype Unicron. And then literally 3 or 4 weeks later, Super 7 unveiled that they were doing that one. Do you know what I mean? That the little non-transformable thing that they did of it. And I was like, man, I can't believe that I had this idea that I thought would be perfect for it. And then they've basically done that. But that would be more Action Masters would be my thing.
Well, weirdly, you mentioned Unicron, because I would ask Matt to make me a G1 1984 Unicron. That's what I would want. Transformable, please,
1984?
Matt. 1986.
Wow.
86 movie, sorry. 86 movie.
Whoa.
You know,
It's a different
Design it
not
from the
A4.
ground up. Just
Yeah, exactly. Just the beginning. I'd want the 86 movie Unicron.
More Orwell than Orson Welles, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
very good, Liam.
Yeah, Chubba Bubba. That's what I'd want. He'd be amazing. That'd be so good. Think how cool that would be, though.
So the full size thing,
Yes.
transformable. You
Oh,
just
yes.
get Matt to
Shoot for the stars, Jason.
Matt,
Oh,
well, there we go. Matt is a talented man.
From
you know?
Action Masters and Minibots to
I was gonna say,
full scale.
There's
Bloke
Christmas.
makes toys the size of mini bots. That's what you'd like. Do you know what I mean? And now you can have him make a full size Unicron.
Just
You're
put
gonna
it
get
in
him
my
to
order,
recreate
Matt.
the Orson Welles voice chip as well. Do you
Yes,
know what I mean?
please.
God.
That's it. We could do that. Amazing.
Rosebud.
Yeah, that needs to be in there. It really does.
Ambitious.
I reckon Matt could do it, and I'm sure he's listening. So get to work. There we go. Liam, what about you?
Oh, God.
Mine are sort of actually almost coming true because I would have said
No.
like little dino pilots, like he makes those, but
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
in sort of the style of the cast from G1, like Spike, Sparkplug, one of those kind of Marissa Fairborn, those sort of dudes. Raoul,
That's a cool
give us some of
idea.
those. 'Cause
Yeah.
there are so many just random humans. Sean Berger for Maz with his little t-shirt. All those guys, but I think we're sort of getting them with Sunstreaker, aren't we?
It does look to be a little bit of a spike, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Dioclone, so
Still nice to get a lot of little pilots.
yeah, I think because he did those for TFN, didn't he? I didn't manage to get one, but the little Dioclone style custom pilots. But you could do those as popular human characters or stuff like that, figures that can go with your Transformers.
Yep.
That's a cool idea.
Good
Imagine
choice.
those with like little GI Joes, as like those, like a little Cobra Commander or a Destro.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be well into that. Yeah. He doesn't do a lot of like new tooling as such, Matt, does he? Like always takes it off something else and casts it or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Which makes
maybe
sense.
there's a way around it, I don't know.
Yeah. Right, gents. Question 2. What is your favourite BotCon toy from Menestreaker? Thank you,
Now,
Menestreaker.
when I picked these questions out, I didn't know, of course, Jason, that you were going to talk about
My favourite
BotCon
BotCon
toy as
Yeah,
part of
so
the
that's my
episode,
answer,
so-
right? It's the Stunticons. Because it is also the only one that I've experienced, but also it still would be my choice, probably.
Yeah, it's a fair choice. What about you, Liam?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember because there have been so many over the years, but possibly the Pyro when they did the G2 set from the Universe stuff back in the day. I was always quite annoyed. That was the old days when I used to be quite annoyed that all the BotCon things existed that I could never own. But they did a Pyro from the Inferno mold.
They did.
Yeah,
That one.
Yeah,
I
only
mean-
do you?
No, I don't own that one. No,
Yeah.
I don't.
I thought that's where you were going because you were very
No.
quiet. And the way you were sat looking at me, I was like, oh, he's
It
about
just
to like,
pulls it
pull it
off.
out. I was like,
Yeah.
No,
Here it
no.
is.
I do have some BotCon stuff. Not like, I don't have it all by any means, but I do
I
have
don't
some.
have any of it. I've never had any of it. That I would have quite liked the. I don't like Shattered Glass, but I wouldn't mind the Shattered Glass Megatron. That kind of.
I would
Yeah.
really like that one. I would
Yeah.
really like that one. Yeah, that's horrifically expensive now.
Yeah.
Oh,
whenever
is
I
it?
see it pop up.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Like absolutely ridiculous money. But yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah. What about you, Sixo?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I've got I've got all but one of the Beast Wars sets and Beast Machines and stuff. So like stuff like Antagony and things like this is super cool. And I guess it's tempting to pick something like that or Shocker Act or whatever, just because that was all the stuff that for years I never thought I would have. So like I remember seeing them on the internet on like bwtf.com and things back in the day when they were coming out and just being like, wow, this stuff is so out of sight, but so to have it all is kind of quite crazy. But maybe G2 Breakdown, actually, old 1994 G2 Breakdown.
Ah, yeah.
Just because it's so unique and it's like a little window into what could have been with the Stunticons, and it's like we never obviously got the full set. I doubt I ever will own the full set just because of moolah. But having that one is really something really special.
Excellent. And our last question comes from Jetstorm. Who would you like to see appear next in Skybound Energon Universe? I personally would like to see more obscure characters get some spotlight, like Carnivac, Sure Shot, or even my namesake Jetstorm. Sixo, I'll go to you, actually.
Well, I would have said Hot Rod, but he's just started cropping up in Void Rivals, so that's pretty
Yeah.
much a tick as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, he's in the old Void Rivals, which is great to see.
He was in the Zero issue a while ago.
Yeah, he
He's in
was
that.
actually. Yeah. The free comic book day, which I have a copy of. And so that would be cool. I guess some like obscure characters might be fun. Feels like it might be a little bit left field at this stage because they've been doing all the kind of like 84 bots and what have you. So, but I like the idea of like gently teasing in some of the 86 guys and things as well. Like we've had Cup.
Yeah.
Won't say anything about that because, spoiler alert or whatever. Maybe Blur. I'm going to say Blur.
Oh, yes. Nice.
Cool.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a very good.
There
Yeah,
we
I like
go.
it.
That would be
Yeah,
a fun
it's
one
good.
to see.
That would be a fun one. I'm going to keep mine dead brief, and it's an obvious choice. It's Wheelie. Who wouldn't want Wheelie in it? That'd be amazing.
Get out. Who wouldn't want
I was gonna,
it? Yeah.
I was going to say. I was actually going to say.
Who
I was actually going to say
wouldn't want
Cheetor as well, but specifically
Of course
Supreme
you were.
Cheetor, right?
Yeah. Beast Machine's Cheetor. Yeah. Do you really want Wheelie in there? What? Stinking it up with his rhymes?
Do you know? But exactly.
Do you really want Wheelie?
Yeah, wheelie. A wheelie
You
want
really
wheelie.
want it.
wheelie. I think if Daniel did that, though, he'd probably throw him into a volcano, and then we would end up with the drawing that Nick did as an image within the comic. Never see
Flayed
Wheelie
face
again.
Wheelie.
Flayed,
Yeah, flayed face, exactly. So that's probably why. But serious answer, Grimlock, probably. Be pretty cool to see Daniel and what you do with Grimlock, actually.
That's a good choice. That's a really good
Yeah,
choice.
it'd be fun. Yeah. Liam, what about you?
My answer is the same answer I give to all questions like this. The Turbo Masters.
Oh, there we go. I love
Stock
it.
answer. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Turbo Masters. Nice.
Anytime it's
Yeah, that's
requesting a character for anything, it's always going to be the Turbo Masters because we never get them in anything. So
That's a great
bring them
choice.
in because they're like untouched characters as well. So whatever he wanted to do with them would be pretty much, the de facto personalities for them. They're untouched. There's no prior real existing fictions, little bits in Dreamwave here and there, but nothing important. You might as well, do something like that.
I think it's a great
Yeah.
choice.
That is
Yeah.
cool. Right. Thanks, patrons. They were some excellent questions. Amazing.
Yeah. As I said, we do have some new signups as well. Thank you very much, everybody that has signed up recently. It's been fantastic. And if you do want to get onto our Patreon and our Discord and all of that kind of other good stuff and get loads of extra additional content, probably like weeks worth at this point, like a crazy amount of additional content, then you need to get over to www. I don't even need to say the www, do I? It's just go in with the address, really. That's like
Yeah,
old man stuff, that is.
It's also
That's
quicker to say World Wide Web.
HTTPS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so get on to GeoCities. No, it's not. It's patreon.com/Triple Takeover. And that's where all the good stuff is. And also worth mentioning that we are sponsored tonight, as ever, by tfsource.com. So do go ahead and check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs.
Yeah, and with Christmas rapidly approaching, head over to Redbubble. Go and buy some stuff from rebel.com. Triple Takeover, whatever the address is. It's been a while since I've said it, so I can't actually remember. But there's an Explore in there. Explore
and people.
and all that.
Yeah.
That. Triple Takeover. Go buy stuff. Go buy some excellent Christmas merch. Just,
Get a flayed face wheelie.
Exactly. Yeah. I know.
Save Santa a job this Christmas. Do something good for charity.
Save
Right,
Santa.
Yeah, yeah. Save him. Like the
Save
poor dude is
Santa.
knackered. He's
it's
shattered.
true. Yeah, help
Save him. Save him a job. Whatever, Triple Takeover. There you go. You're doing something good if you go and buy one of our t-shirts or bits and bobs of tat.
That's true.
If you want to let us know what your favourite toy of the year was, then hit us up on all the socials. We're on all of them at Triple Takeover or at Triple_Takeover on one of them, which I can't remember. What's that? Is that Facebook?
God, you're asking me. You're the. This is your
Just go
segment.
to Triple Takeover. We're
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely on all of them.
Yeah,
We're on
we'll
Blue
be there.
Sky as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come
Okay.
and find us. So, and of course, you can find me. Anywhere
Yes, you've done
that
no,
social
no.
media might happen.
Take this seriously.
We nearly got through the episode.
I was going to talk about your recent onslaught of videos, but you've done yourself out of that now.
Oh, thanks, mate.
So,
Yeah, that's
Jason,
kind of
where
it.
can people find you? Forget Sixo.
JSwags. At JSwags. That's where I am.
Yes, and yes, go check out Sixo's YouTube and things like that. Done lots of good
Aw.
videos lately.
Yeah,
Thanks, mate.
it's been smashing them out. It's true.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at Toybox Soapbox. Anywhere there's an at, but you know
Love it.
Official.
Trademark.
And Sixo, where
Oh,
are you?
I'm just out there in the ether, just howl Sixo into the night, and I shall
Howling
appear.
Sixo.
Exactly.
Sixo! Like Lionel.
Sixo!
holding
Yeah,
up
exactly.
holding up your G2 Grimlock. Oh.
Yeah.
I love it.
Shine the
exactly that.
Sixo signal. You just like Emirates Zara's face on the clouds.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
In a
I
little
love it.
circle, like on Blue Sky or Twitter.
Oh
I
my
love
God,
it.
that's amazing.
It's the
Absolutely.
Sixo signal.
Yeah, that's it.
Sixo.
He's the toy collector we need, but not the one we deserve.
I've often said that. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's been great fun reminiscing about all the happenings in 2024. We've really enjoyed it. Can't believe that the year's nearly over. So, but all that's really left for me to say is have a very Merry Christmas or holiday season or whatever, however you celebrate. Just have
A
a
holly
great
jolly
old time
Christmas.
of it. Exactly. Have a great old time of it. Have a fantastic new year. And of course, we'll catch you for the next one.
Right, I'm going to save this because my dog is being a jerk, so I've got to go and let her out.